Good morning, traders out there. How we doing? It's another week in the market, and wouldn't you guys know it? Like we were talking about on Friday, rally alert on, and yeah, we got ourselves a rally here. So, hey, we'll talk all about it here in the open. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on right now. The market's still rallying, and will this rally hold? Of course, there can be pullbacks, and I'm looking for trades already this morning. Just missed out on a nice little profit in UCAR. We'll talk a little bit about that small name. We trade them all here, small name, big names. We'll take a look at the sector outlook. We'll take a look at what's going on deep inside of this rotation. Where's the rally coming from? All questions to be had. And of course, we'll be taking a look to see what trades we can come up with, and starting with today, our playbook. All right, traders, today is going to be a fun day because, of course, today we're looking for what? We're looking for breakout trades, guys. We're looking for trades that are going to continue to rally on a day 2, day 3 move, guys. And I got a couple up my sleeve today. I'm super excited to keep these on the radar so much that I'm just setting alerts all around here, guys. I'm looking to see what happens today, guys. It's going to be a fun one. Let's start it off with a interesting, of course, outlook. We've been taking a look into the industrial space, and now we're starting to see a little bit of a rally. And last week's action was all led by kind of one name, really. It was all led by Boeing, really. But let's take a look here at another one that I'm going to be watching today. SMR is one that's a little bonus one. I kind of gave you that one a little early. I already have it on the screen, so might as well give it to you guys, as I'll be watching some nuclear play to be looking into this space. But let's talk about bigger names. What about Caterpillar? As I take a look at this trade yesterday on Friday, it was kind of one of those that went red to green. And this is why I like this trade here, guys, because the way that it set up was a bearish action on Friday and now a reversal of that bearish action. So with that being said, we actually have kind of the bears on the run. It's exactly what we need to be looking for a nice little bounce back. And this is one that didn't make that big of a rally, but in the overall look how it started to turn around. And this is one that's right on what? Nice long-term support. Take a look at the monthly, right around the monthly support, right? And so the monthly support is going to be closer to like 33s. And if you really wanted it, you could put it at like 330s, right? That's the number that I was given more. And we can draw kind of a harder line there to see support overall for the long term, right? And that tells me more and more to take a look to see if we can get back into kind of a trend line approach on the monthly that would take us up into that spot into the 400. So you can see the look on the weekly, definitely that wick action now starting to turn around. Can we get back to the 350s? Take a look at the daily. Where's that 350 put us? That puts us right back to the 50 EMA. And if you take a look at it, we undercut the EMAs here, which is not a good look, right? When the 50s undercutting that 200, not a good look, but we can instantly, I've seen a lot of times we see a little rally off of that. Can we recover that look and maybe get the 50 right back through it? That could definitely happen. Now that we're above the 9, I'm looking to see if we can get above these levels, make a run to the 350 with a good volume that came in here. Take a look at the volume. That's a lot of volume that came in there, guys. I don't think I'm the only one looking at this chart thinking that it was prime for a little reversal action. And now we'll take a look to see if it can get running. Another thing to think about here is, like I talked about, is that this is all about the rhetoric that I'm expecting to come through. Like always, it's about looking for trends and then looking to see if something can lead into it. Some catalyst can push it, right? Well, one of the things that I'll be looking for is for more rhetoric about building here in the United States. I saw today a big announcement by Hyundai for a big investment here. And these are the types of things that I'm looking to continue to see. And we'll see if we get some more America build, right? That kind of conversation that we need to be hearing from. All right, let's keep it going out of Caterpillar. Let's go to the next play here. We'll take a look at XLF, as we've been taking a look at the industrial space. And then now we're going to go towards the financial space. Always about the sectors first, and then we can move into stocks, right, within this. but this is a nice little lead. It did kind of fill into back to the gap action, and that's exactly what you want to see. Now it didn't cut the 200 and it's starting to come right back to the 50. So, hey, that just shows me the strong action here. Now, what I think we need to do is continue the trend higher, right? So we can look for now this trend to come back above the 9 EMA and hold the 9 EMA on pullbacks, kind of like what you got here on similar run-ups, right? So the key is when it breaks the 9, we got to be a little bit careful like it did here, and then it started to undercut. So we really need to start seeing this hold through some resistance. Next layer to watch is the 50. The 50 is going to be an important one today. And that's why I'm calling this one an important part of the rally. Because what I think we need to be looking for here, traders, is what's called the broadening out of the rally, right? So not just looking into one trade, one area. We want to see the sectors and the rally broaden out to different areas to continue that pressure up to the upside. We'll see what happens here. Of course, this is the financial sector. Can it get back to 52? All things to look at there. All right, guys, we'll keep it going. Let's go to the last one on the playbook today. We're going to go into a different play. What about Carvana? CVNA. Of course, Carvana has been an interesting play, a retail favorite, had made a huge run in 2024, all the way up there, about 741%. Yes, I said that right. 741% higher, guys. It's back there towards 200. Did make a huge dip here, and now it's kind of more, is this far enough, right? Well, I think it is definitely. It could be making its way back to 210 and then come right back down. But I think it's prime for a move through the 200 today. If we take a look on the hourly, you can see how we've been building up here, trying to get back above the resistance. Finally made that break on Friday. We made that break on Thursday, right? On the first action. On Friday, we cleared that action and held it on the pullback. So right around that layer, we can take a look to see if we hold anything on any pullbacks. That's the 190. And the 200 is right there. It's already getting the lift. And trust me, I did this before 8:30, guys, right? So that was when it was at 197. We're already to 199.77. So it looks like this trade might just be a break through the 200. And then I'd be looking to sell it too, because I think it could just get like maybe a little bit more than this. I'm not saying that it's going back to 300, but it's a trade to look out for the long term, also for swing traders, because I think this is one that could have a great year with some car struggles out there. Of course, we all know how vehicle prices are high. We all know how interest rates aren't going lower anytime soon. So all things to be looking at here in Carvana. All right, guys, let's keep going. We'll take a look into the market to see what else is in the market today. But let's get to the Sunrise report. We'll take a look at different stocks in the market. We'll take a look at what news is out there right now, why stocks are moving this morning. Like always, very important to take a look at, guys. And of course, we'll see if the tariffs have anything to say with, will we continue the upside rally? All right, let's keep it going with today's Sunrise report. All right, traders, stock futures rallied early Monday after reports of President Trump may delay some tariffs initially set for April 2nd. So we're still ways away from here too. You know, April 2nd, we're talking next week, Wednesday, right? So we still got a little bit of ways to that date, but I think it's an important thing to look at here because I think there's going to be back and forth conversation. He's trying to play hardball, but at the same time, not trying to affect the markets as much, right? So investors are hopeful here that a full-blown trade war might be avoided. I don't think that's true necessarily. At the end of the day, he's trying to play, his deal game, right? The futures this morning were up a good amount, though. I think that's one thing definitely to note here. All right, guys. Sorry for the sneeze game. At least you guys didn't get that on the mic, but let's keep it going here. Sorry about that. All right, NASDAQ 100 futures here. We're up about 1.5, the S&P 1.2, and it was all off of those backs of those comments, right? Now, big tech, of course, and Tesla are leading the charge. Tesla, finally, a big breakout, guys. 3.6% on Friday, continued to rally all day, held the pullbacks to the VWAP, just some slight undercuts. So now I think we got to continue to watch this because There's some people that want Tesla to suffer, and I think it could be turning around. Oh my God, guys, this sneezes today. All right, well, here's the chart. All right, guys. So you can see the turn of trend that we're starting to have. And whenever I look at the turn of trend, there's two things that I want to really look at. How far are we away from the major moving averages? Or they're pretty far away. You guys can see that they're about 17% to get into that 200 or the 50 EMA. Another thing we're seeing here, though, is the cross on the MACD. So a lot of times could be used as a confirmation tool or maybe a leading indicator. In my case, I always like to use it as a confirmation tool. But let's say if I was buying down in the dip there, looking for the things to turn around, and it did finally turn around. So we're finally getting out of this consolidation block. The big key today is not to go back in it and hold in it. Now we could go back and dip in there, and then that's a pull back into that spot, right? Maybe even into Friday's high, which is 250, and then come out of that. That's okay. That holds the trend, right? And I think that another thing you can be drawing now is trend lines and using trend lines as your friend here. And so what I mean is, let's say drawing a trend line from here and looking for the trends to kind of hold, right? So even a dip to the 9 EMA makes sense here on the hourly. Let's say back to 254, right? So 254 to 250 looks like good pullback areas for Tesla to gain a little bit of the rally. Now, if you take a look at the daily chart, 300 seems to make sense. So I think you got to continue to watch this because overall, the monthlies still haven't really broken too much. And I think that it's holding the 50 monthly moving average here. And I think that's an important level to look at. Now, let's see if we can bounce back and start making our way back to 300. And all those scared Tesla traders, they're going to be kind of missing out. Now, another thing to think about is on the weekly, what did we get at the bottom here? Well, it's an important candle to really kind of note here, right? So I'm going to erase these kind of drawings just so you can see it a little bit bigger. I'll even pull this down here. What is that candle, guys? That's a nice inverse hammer candle. It shows us a lot of times, right? Indecision, but what? Buyers came in towards the end of the week. And another important one was right behind it, right? More indecision, but what are we starting to see? Kind of this turning effect. So I think this gives us an ability to look to see if we get this kind of V-shaped bottom and start to turn around. So we could start to look to see if we get some pullback into the 250s, can we really start going back above into the 260s and 270s and start working our way to 300 here on Tesla? All right, let's keep it going back to the news action here, and we'll take a look at different stocks that are moving, that are important ones, and hopefully I won't sneeze again. But let's keep going, guys. Another one to take a look at is Meta. So I'll just keep it going with the charts here. We'll take a look at the charts. I think these are important charts to take a look at in the market. We'll talk about some news too, but these are the biggest stocks that have been making moves that I got a lot of traders, investors watching it, right? So keep your eyes on that action. You can see here in Meta. And one of the things that you can see here in Meta is that you're getting this nice little turnaround right off of a major support. This is exactly what you want to be looking at when you're getting these deep time frame pullbacks. Use the monthlies. I definitely sometimes I even myself miss out on trades like that because it seems tough to trade that there, right? Off the support here, prior resistance, acting as support around the 580s to 575. So you have to be able to size in accordingly to this trade. But now it's already back to 612, right? And you get this quick whipsaw of a turnaround through that support. And there was multiple days to come in and get it, right? So when you're seeing multiple days of support around the same area, understand that you're not the only one probably seeing that, and you're going to see traders start to take risk off of that. So now Meta's looking really good. Got that trend line approach break. And now you got to look to see if you get back to the next resistance. This is what a lot of these stocks are going to be looking like, where they're going back right into a resistance, right? So you can see here, this kind of bounce here, rejected into this area, rejected into this area. So I'm going to call the resistance and support somewhere in between this area. So around the 623s, the 620s, But for the purpose right now, we're going to use this candle to high the 620.50s. We'll make this a little bit thicker, and we'll be watching to see if we can continue the trend now with a nice little break to the upside and then a pullback. But don't forget, we could go right back to Friday's highs and then make the move, right? So a lot of these charts, I'm looking for a pullback today. And I'm looking for the pullback to be quick and then for the market to rally into maybe lunchtime and things like that. So we got to be a little bit careful because playing the high right here, I don't know if we're just going to get this ripping rally right back. So we'll see what happens there in Meta. All right, let's keep it going. Let's go to NVIDIA here. We'll take a look at different stocks. Of course, despite last week's modest bounce, we got to be keeping an eye out as the uncertainty remains with Trump's reciprocal tariffs still looming, of course. Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg suggested the tariffs may be more targeted with some industries and nations exempt, but nothing is set in stone just yet. All right, guys, let's go to some stocks here. We'll take a look at some action out there. Like always, guys, keep your eyes on the market. Let's see what's going on in the comments. Good morning to you guys out there. Shane, good morning. Steph, XHLD. A lot of small stocks out there. We'll see when we get up into here, guys. All right, like always, guys, smash the like. We got a lot more for you guys. I will be right back, guys, and we'll take a look into some of these market action. Let's take a look at that XHLD right now. Ooh, getting the move. Let's take a look at that. Let's go to the 1 minute chart. You can see how the 9 EMA, how I love the 9 EMA and how it holds here. And one thing is for certain, don't miss the 5 minute on these smaller ones. Look how it comes back to the 9 and kind of holds there too. So, hey, good looking chart here, XHLD, and I'll be right back, team. Let's make some money, Jimmy. What's going on, guys? I'm back. I'm feeling good. Ready to go, guys. XHLD pulling back a little bit there. The one that I traded, guys, man, I took a step away from the computer at the wrong time, guys. And I can't be upset about that. I had to go take care of my kid, and that's just life, man. But this thing made a nice little pop there to the 380s while I was at the desk. I wasn't at the desk. I was in at 310 here on UCAR, so I wasn't upset at all. And I was like, well, I mean, it might get that 4 again here. I'm looking for the 4 break and looking to get up there. I should have sold some in that pop if I was watching, but hey, it happens, guys. Let's keep it going. Let's make some money. I'm not going to be upset about that. I lost $11 on that trade, but should have made about like 140, and got to shake it sometimes, guys. One thing's for certain. These small ones, I got to take the wins early and take the money. Better trade in gold. Trading gold. We'll take a look at some gold. I got you guys. We can take a look at that. Perfect gap fills plays this morning. We'll see how they turn out. Yeah, keep up throwing out some names. We can take a look at all the names that you guys want to take a look at. That's what it's all about here. Jimmy, we got a lot to take a look at this morning. Shane, let's keep it moving. RGC is the main watch this week. Okay, Take a look at that RGC in just a second here. And gold, I love gold. We'll take a look at gold. Why not, man? It's been as hot as it can be. It did make a major pullback. I know Michael was looking for that. GLD is the one that I look at for that, but it held on Friday at the end. I think this could still get some bounce and still keep going here. I don't know, man. AU is the name that I look at, but when it's extended from the 9, a lot of times we'll get a pullback to it. So I still think you get one more pullback in gold. GLD, of course, made the recent move, and now it's already back at the 9, right? So that's how quickly GLD does it, right? So 3 or 4 moves up, 3 moves down, maybe 3 moves back up. We'll see what happens here on GLD. All right, let's keep it going. Let's get right back into the Sunrise Report. We got a lot more to take a look at here. We'll go to AZK here. AZK is soaring this morning off of reports here on a $9 billion acquisition of James Hardie, JHK. However, James Hardie tumbled 11% on the deal. JHK here, of course, doing the deal, and they got bought out. Of course, AZEK there got bought out here. So James is going down here towards the 25. So, hey, this is just one of those trades where it's just about the deal. And of course, it's getting the hit there. PINS getting a nice little boost after an upgrade to buy. So Gittenheim getting into here, citing and attracted by the dip opportunity here. So this is definitely going to have some traders watching. What I'd be watching for is if Pinterest can have a good day, well, maybe Snapchat will have a good day. So they can trade very similar, guys. So I'd be watching both of these. Maybe one gives you the lead, right? One of them actually gives you a big break, and then you can watch the trade the other. I'll be watching to see what happens on Snapchat today, see if it can break that level, and I'll let you guys know if I see that break happen there. Setting the alert. Let's keep it moving. Let's go to VSAT here as they're moving here as Deutsche Bank upgrading this to a buy and citing a potential debt reduction and asset sale as key growth levers here to pull on. So VSAT trying to get back there towards the 1050s. We'll look to see if it can get back to that 1025 today. Just watching that action. I think this one needs some volume really to get going here. Not much volume right now, but on the daily chart, it does show some bottoming. If you take a look at the weekly, the weekly makes it look a lot cleaner, right? So you can see the bottomings that we talk about all the time. 1, 2, that kind of 1, 2 approach, that third. And you can see the dips all into that area. And we recently just got this liquidity one where we get a huge wick, but the body closes all the way up here, right? So all the bodies are closing towards 9. Now we're starting to hold this 989 pullback. So as long as 10 can hold today, this isn't looking too bad. We'll see if we get a dip below 10 and then a quick recover. But right now, 1014, not looking too bad here in Viasat. All right, guys, let's go to steel stocks as UBS upgrading both Steel Dynamics, one that I really like, guys, and 120 at 125 here, guys. And one thing that I've been watching is I saw X kind of taking a little bit of a lead here and making the move. I saw this on Thursday and Friday. So this is not a bad area to watch, especially if the analysts are going to start coming with some upgrades. So Nucor is another one that got a gap down move, now could recover today. So not a bad one to see here. We'll look to see if it gets that push. Of course, the tariffs could be weighing in on this one just as much. And that's why I think you got to be a little bit careful because this is going to be moving all around. Me, 23andMe, after filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy and CEO Annie Warsick resigning here on the company seeking a buyer and not looking good at all, guys. So back down to $1. And this is just how it goes sometimes, guys. This company opened at 228, went up there to 300, and look where it's at now. So this is why you also can sometimes bet down on a company long term. Imagine if you got some early shorts and you were able just to hold on. At this point, when you start to hear bankruptcy mentions, it's time to start taking your money. That's why you're seeing so much volume in this. It's not buyers, it's the shorters taking their money and getting the hell out of there. But hey, really good profits there for me. If you were keep shorting that, man, it's crazy though. This all just kind of happened as you can see a lot of these kind of DNA stocks that were coming out, and boy, oh boy, from 2021 to 2025 and just disaster here. Boeing, of course, got plenty of good news, of course, over the weekend and on Friday after landing a major F-47 fighter contract, of course, beating Lockheed Martin. And so Lockheed Martin taking the big dump, but Boeing holding up the industrial space. Mellis Research upgrading to buy on positive news cycle as you get Boeing to just catch the bottom. You see this red line here? That I had drawn, guys. I drew this line a while back. I drew this actually on September 3rd of 24. And there you guys see it. I mean, it's been kind of holding into that, right? And so now I think we need to be kind of looking to see what happens here. Can it continue to hold that? It held it to a key now and starting to reverse out of there. So I was wondering if Boeing was going to come back to 100, but this tells me otherwise. Big reversal off of that 150. Now we got to look to see, can it break the 190 and get to 200? If it can do that, it could start trending right back, guys. So this is a big stock to watch because we're watching the industrial space overall, and that's going to be a big move to look at. Even though you see Lockheed Martin, LMT, down big this morning, and a lot of that is because of that fighter pilot, right? That getting that is not what they expected. They expected to be able to get this generation, but now you could see this could be heading to the 400s, right? We'll see what happens. This could be breaking towards 422. It's been dropping in the pre-market and continuing to drop, guys, even just as this morning, guys, from 439 to 429. I mean, man, maybe should have been looking at this one to short in the pre-market. What a trade there, right? Just even like 100 shares. I mean, wow. You're talking 10 points there really quickly. All right, we'll see what happens on this one. Let's keep it going. I won't touch the airline stocks. Short on SMCI? I can't blame you for looking at that. Of course, we'll talk a little bit more about that with Michael Noss coming up here. He'll be in about 3 minutes, guys. We got 2 more here on the Sunrise Report. I'll take some stocks from you guys, and we'll keep the party going today. As, of course, you guys know where you're at. It's, of course, Trade the Pool. Let's keep it going, guys. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's go, guys. All right, next up, we got FedEx. FedEx, of course, had earnings that didn't really kind of get that up through, but it reversed right back out of there. So let's see if it can somehow come back to the gap. Will it just fill the gap immediately back? I don't know if it's going to do it that fast, but there's a lot of trading, a lot of dip buying on that dip. Now, you're right back into the Bollinger Band, but you could reject here. So, and this one's going to be a little bit of a tough one for me. I think this is going to move back and forth. All right, guys. My best trade on Friday was on Micron. So I was able to catch the dip on Micron and get some of this coming back. Will it come back today? We'll see what happens on this one, guys. We'll see what happens on NVIDIA. Stocks like that could be starting to try to get some trend today. Can they hold today? It's all about looking at key levels. We'll talk about more of those key levels with, of course, Michael Noss coming up here. And, of course, smash the like. Where's the likes out there, guys? Autonautics, I think that says. Hey, what's going on out there? First day. I like the energy and pre-market prep. Yeah, that's what it's all about. I'm always here on at 8:30, giving you guys a little bit of some pre-market prep action. And this is where you guys run the show. You know, I always give like the playbook and the Sunrise Report, just trying to give a quick curated look into the market so that you guys can be ready to go. Don't need to be looking elsewhere. What news is in the market? I'll cover it all right here, right now. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us on the Sunrise Report and the playbook. It's time to really kick things off. It's time to bring on Michael Noss. We'll get the countdown started, guys. Get into the live trading action. It's time. Let's go, guys. It's time to get this party started. It's Monday, another great week, and time to make some money. Let's go. Let's make some cash today.
Wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money. It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at.
What's going on out there, traders? Let's get the party started. Let's bring on Michael himself. What's going on, man? How we doing out there?
Doing fantastic. What a time to be buying stocks and owning stocks. It's a great time to be a bull. That's for
Always.
sure.
Always. It's always time to be a bull. I mean, at the end of the day, the market keeps on winning. Market's been undefeated for how long? Well, pretty much the history of the market, right? Is at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Good little bounce back now with the rally hold. That's all questions to be had. We can talk about key levels to watch out there. We'll take a look at different sectors. We'll take a look at stocks, of course. We got chat comments going out there. A lot of buzz. It's the time. Won't touch the airline stocks. We'll take a look at the airline stocks. They're in the industrial space. I know I've been talking about industrial stocks. Well, let's take a look at the key levels to watch. Of course, Michael's been talking about these key levels week in, week out, guys. Where do you get this? Right here, of course. Let's take a look at the action and see what you're looking at today, my friend. What's going on? How's the market looking?
Well, obviously, everything in the market's looking great. Nice bounce. The biggest place that I'm watching here, and we got a while to get there, but right, this low, which held as support to the downside, looking like we might want to test it to the upside, and then also put an anchored VWAP from all-time highs. So again, this is where the average market participant happens if you started buying the market at the worst possible time. So it's a good vibe shift indicator, right? If we get it above that and we hold above that, it's like, okay, everyone's making money now. And then if we stay below that and we bounce off it, then it's okay. That was just an area of resistance. So we'll see. The biggest zone I'm watching is just these topping tails that we've had here now for a very long time. You know, anywhere between 169 and 180. I know we're well above that right now, but that's on an opening basis. I want to see on a closing basis. We've never been able to close above these over this last little rally. So if we can get above there, then to me that looks great. And so we just need to see. It's one of those. It's going to be a very wait and see. I think a very interesting day. A flush off the open and a close red gets me a little bit worried. But even if we do nothing all day and we just stay up here, I think that's crazy bullish action.
All right, we'll keep watching for that. Of course, we had a good rally this morning. Things aren't looking too bad out there. We'll take a look to see what happens. A lot of green on the screen right now, and a lot of questions will be had. Could we get the gap and go, or will it be a little bit of that pullback action? We'll have to wait and see, of course, on that. But what's standing out to you here?
Well, just the fact, like you mentioned, it's all green, right? This isn't one of those we're being led by one sector and one area. It's not that, hey, we've got semiconductors ripping and that has the whole market interested. It is, we are being held by everything, right? There's every sector here except some communications being down, but right, those things, AT&T is not a good company at the best of times, so I'm not too worried about that. And those everything rallies, those are the most interesting to me because those are the ones that they trap a lot of shorts. Right? If one area or two areas is rallying, then you're like, okay, well, the shorts might not be feeling pain because they might be existing somewhere else. Right, but there's nowhere to hide right now if you're a short seller, and there's a lot of pain going on. So the question is, just are we getting one of these big rip your face off kind of rallies where it's just gonna rip to new highs? And I wouldn't say we get all the way up there, but if we could get and take over again this zone, I don't know if it's gonna happen today, but call it 575.5. Above that, then I think we could be changing our tune a little bit from being pretty worried and in a bear market to now at a place that people could be excited and interesting to start to get involved in the market.
I agree. I mean, I think people are excited already. I can see the bulls out there definitely coming right back into the market. I think that's another sign for me to be a little bit careful today. You know, I think on Friday, I can't blame them, right? There was good conversation, everything that we had. But one thing I will remain is some good old Feds speaking today, guys. Multiple times. We're ready for the Feds to come out, and the Fed comes talking, barking. One coming this way, one coming that way. So I think expect volatility in the market with those comments, right? And so a little bit of some tugging back and forth. So with that being said, I'd be looking for that up and down action today. I don't think they're going to make it easy straight to the upside. I think essentially here, I always ask myself that question. You guys can ask yourself this question every single day. Where is the max pain on today compared to Friday's action, right? And if I think about it, I felt like the rally was essentially not just Friday. I think Friday was a day where things looked better, but Thursday wasn't bad. It's just that Friday we came in on that gap down approach, right? And so it gave you that gap down scare approach, right? And that was all that pre-market action. Remember, it was like that huge dip, and we worked our way all the way back. So in my eyes, I think that we made ourselves a rally, a range move where we went all the way towards about, like, let's say 570 50s on that up move, and then down there towards around like the 558 almost. It tapped right there around 558.71. So maybe 559, right? So essentially we're going right back to the resistance there. Do we undercut that resistance and then look for the rally? That's what I'm going to be watching for right now, right? Right there on the 30-minute chart. You can see it as clear as day, right? So you expanded the range. Now, do we get a little bit of some tightening of the range and then the move higher? That's what I'll be looking for. I don't know about you, Michael, but I know that you were like me looking for some buying on Friday. I think we turned out pretty good if you were on the buy side on Friday. Let's see what happens today. It's going to be an interesting one, especially at the gate.
And I think what you're looking for is kind of best case scenario, right? If we come back down and we touch and we just kiss these prior highs and just come in a little bit and then start to see some buying and then start to push up, I think that's best case scenario, right? Not a gap fill, nothing crazy like that, but we have this clean area of resistance that was, has been resistance for a long time. We're through that in the pre-market. So if we just come back and tap it and we find buyers there, to me, that's, like you mentioned, I think that's probably the most bullish thing that we could see. A rip from here right to these highs, that to me gets a little bit worrisome, because when you're overextended to get to an area that's a heavy area of resistance, more of a chance you bop your head on it, you fall back down. But if we come down, we test some support zones, we find some buyers there, give the market some certainty that things are moving higher, we could push up from there. But it's very interesting to see. You're watching in the we can just do Bitcoin, but this is what, again, I don't even, like I mentioned, I don't even look at the futures open on Sunday nights anymore, because I just know, right, if Bitcoin's doing this, then the futures are going to be great, right? So this was all Sunday, and then this is so far today. So nice little pop here. Saw a lot of the meme coins starting to pop up, right? Like the fart coin is, funny enough, one of my bread and butter indicators for how well the market's doing. And this thing's just been on fire. My idea here, I don't think is too clever. It's just, you're not going to see this like complete speculative junk rallying if people are worried about their jobs and, oh, I'm going to lose, I'm not going to have any money to buy things anymore. You generally don't see this. And you saw this a lot when it came to, I think Solana is a good one to look at, because Solana is where a lot of these meme coins are made. I think it's where pretty much all the meme coins are made. And what a nice little, like, if you zoom out, right, this is just came back and tapped this support that it's been hitting over and over and over again. And then this nice little breakout. And I think that's it's like an animal spirits thing, right?
And it's a good monthly chart to look at, guys. One of the things with the cryptos that I really like to do is just look at the monthly chart. It's just look at the monthly chart, man. Just try to not to make it too difficult with crypto. I think that you get a lot of wicks in crypto. And so wicks can really trap you on the daily chart. Like, that they scare you essentially, right? And so if you can stick to more of a monthly approach, what you could do is you can do the ladder entry approach that I talk about all the time, where you're essentially, you're going to size into it. You're going to average down, but in an approach where you're using levels, right? So, hey, this is where I see the support. It's around, let's say 115 there. So I'm going to put an order at 115. I'm going to put an order at 110. I'm going to put an order at 105, right? And know that my out is 90, right? Something like that. That gives you that approach that you'll get maybe the first fill. Maybe you don't get all three fills, but you get that quick whipsaw back up through your level, right? Through your entry. And then you can establish, as you get back towards a level like you are today, where you're feeling that momentum is back on your side, you can just do a break even with these deeper approaches to catch bigger investment moves and essentially give yourself a chance to ride the rocket, right? I think that it's important, especially if you missed all that 2024 action. You're not trying necessarily to catch the bottom here. You're trying to catch a bigger move, right? A consolidation and a move higher. Use that in Bitcoin. I've talked about that, the same thing. Bitcoin's even nastier though on the wicks. So that's why I like Solana here too. I'll be as honest as I can be, Michael. Yesterday I was even because I was making a lot of money on Robinhood with these event contracts for March Madness. And I was like, you know what? I'm about to just pull the cash and then put it into Solana because it seems to me like it could get back to 300. And back at 300. And what do you get? Another 100%. That's not a bad move, right?
Yeah. Well, and then through there, right? This is just turns out to be a massive overall base. You know, if you zoom out, like you mentioned, and look at this. And, you know, you just ignore everything that you hear about with, you know, markets and the news and just shut all that off. And I don't know, pretend this was a 1 minute chart. Well, had a little bit of sell off in the morning, pretend this like an intraday chart. Came up to those prior highs. You would expect this kind of back and forth sideways chop at those all time highs. You would expect that action. And then from there, if you get a breakout, this would be a buyable breakout. So just the fact that these numbers are very large, I don't think means too much. Where you get a move through 143 that goes to nearly 300, so a double there, and then through that, who knows? I've got the market on another monitor here, and it's just ripping into the open. So it'll be interesting to see. Again, one of my plays, I don't put these much on the list, but I'm just got the Qs on the gap fade list just in case we end up breaking down under VWAP. But we are just ripping here into the open, which is just it's a crazy move for the market.
Well, this is kind of I think it's expected to this morning, right? One of the things that I would say is that you're getting that move where you're trying to create FOMO, right? Like the market's trying to do it right now.
Yeah.
The fear of missing out, right? That is what's being presented to you as a trader right now. You need to be asking yourself, do you have that fear of missing out here, right? And I think that's the important part, right? Sometimes like the market's going to present a look for you, right? Like on Thursday, remember we were getting that down action? Essentially the market was giving you a look elsewhere, right? It was like, hey, the panic is on, the panic is on, the panic is on. You have to choose, were you panicking, right? And things like that. I think that's what day traders need to be asking ourselves more and more. What's the psychological feeling today, right? And then basing your strategy off of that can be a good outlook, right? If you're seeing panic in the market, well, then maybe I'm looking for some major support levels to rally off of, right? Or in this case, where does the resistance come into play, right? Yeah. Where can I run into that wall that maybe I could start to see some traders getting caught a little bit and a pullback come in? I could still be in buy the dip moment, but at the same time, know where the pullback levels are to be watched here. So I'll be watching for moves like that, and we'll be looking to see in like I'm watching for broadening out of the rally. Like I've been talking about different sectors. What are you looking at right here? What do we got?
Well, yeah, I've got the SPY open. I'm going to go through my little list of things,
Let's do it.
fades to do in just a second. But someone just asked about China stocks, so let's just take a look there. And again, full disclosure, I am just super invested. I've got China and Japan, and I'm a whole bunch outside of the US just because it's been doing by far the best. And with FXI, really nothing to say when it comes to China stocks. Some of them are up a little bit in the pre-market, down a little bit. One thing I always say, and it just makes sense with Chinese stocks, just ignore any gap. See, it's just they've done their whole trading day already, right? By the time it's come over here. So just, any gap that's happening, you got to just shut out. But when it comes to things like FXI doing well, BABA doing fantastic in this little base, for me, it's just if we break this base and continue, that's great. If we start to break back down and we start to lose this 120 level, that's kind of concerning to me. But yeah, I'm not taking any stock into any gap that happens in China just because, again, the whole day has gone on here. It's why you see me not trade them too much in the US market, just because, again, the whole the market that they exist in has already had the chance to digest any news or anything that's happening there. But things that I'm looking at just going on the open here. So we have this Zim that is again would have triggered on the open already, but we'll see this one again. This is a big fan. They do some sort of special dividend or something. It's weird. 30-minute chart showing a gap down and the 2-minute chart showing a gap up for me. Let me look at Trader Evolution here, the Trade the Pool platform, and it's showing a gap down too. Okay, so this is some weird action here. So this is actually gapping down this morning. Lunar, nice little not only gap up, but it's been ripping all morning. And this is what I like. I mentioned, you know, the more I look at the journaling that I'm doing and the trades that I've taken, the longer it is above VWAP before it breaks down. It seems to be a little bit of an advantage there. So Lunar is one thing that's on watch. Coinbase is just kind of chopping around here on the open, but this is another one to potentially short. I think I might do Con-L. It's actually 2 times leverage Coinbase ETF, and it's only $18. So you know, it's pretty easy move to take there if you like that right off the open. Again, look with these, that my strategy is just look for a fade through the VWAP and, you know, print a blue arrow. I just take my trade and then kind of move on from there. GRR, GRRR. I know this is one I do a lot with StockTwits, and I'm on there all the time answering questions about charts, and this GRR, whatever it is just always mentioned. So a little bit of a gap up there, nothing crazy, but something definitely to keep an eye on. And then HIMS, another gap up, right? This is actually from the daily chart point of view. This is a really nice looking chart, but again, I'm just looking for little scalp fades off the open. So, but HIMS on a daily chart, nice pullback and basing around this zone. And then last but not least, but a firm has been gapping up on this base. So just mostly things to short. Again, if we get that kind of look at the market, but to be blunt, the same as the last couple days, hasn't really been too much exciting me, to be honest. There's not been a lot that I've been for gaps, and I just don't know if it's because we're in this earnings lull season and maybe the strategy I've came up with is only going to be super profitable during earnings season. If so, that's fine. Just means I need to create other strategies. But a little bit of a pullback here on the market coming into the open. We've got still 15 minutes left. Little bit of a pullback. I use a little bit in the very small amount there. Came back to VWAP, and the only thing that I'm kind of watching, and I don't think I'll take anything right off the open because of the gap, but I've got the Qs, so the TQQQ or the SQQQ might be a good way to play it if we end up fading through VWAP here. And again, the ultimate target being the 2-day VWAP, which is way down here, so I wouldn't expect to get that, but again, just a little bit, just always looking just to fade gaps that might be overdone just a little bit.
All right, guys, let's take a look at something that I think is always interesting to take a look at is the checklist, my man, David Cox.
Oh.
Of course, let's take a look at the checklist here. So things to look at, right? What's in the bullish trend? What's in the bearish trend, right? One of the things that I can see here, and we're not going to go through every single one, right? Because it will be here all day. But the idea is to look at the short term, right? The short term mix, right? Intermediate term, still bearish, right? And then long term, a lot of bullishness, right? This just shows you the type of market we're in. Another thing to be thinking about in the long term, right? What is your time frame? What are you looking for, right? Are you a short-term trader? Are you an intermediate-term trader or a long-term trader? I can see how the intermediate's still looking bearish because at least from what's starting to show up, there is some worry out there. So what I would say to be looking at, and I put this out, is I put out some areas that I'm going to be looking at, of course. I'm watching out for the oil, for the inflation outlook. That's more like that intermediate, a little bit careful in the next couple of weeks outlook. But what I think is important out for the short term is a broadening out of the rally, right? Looking for this, right? Look at the head and shoulders on this hourly.
Yeah.
This is pretty on the XLI, right? This is textbook, right? Sometimes you got to look for like I even, and I feel bad. I hit that other trader because he called an inverse head and shoulders. But I feel like this is as textbook as it gets, right? This is as good as it gets. You're not going to get much prettier than that left shoulder, a head action. And then what you want to see on the head action too is a lot of times I look for that quick action, right? And we did get quick action. It was trying to get back there. You got the dip to create the right hand shoulder, and now you're going for the neckline. So now you got to look to see if it can continue, right? And this is a good area to watch for, right? The industrial area. Now, of course, we'll look for different areas to rally too, right? The XLF, I'm watching to see if that can rally. I'll just watch banks, some bigger boys, JPM, see if that can continue going back, right? One of the things that I love about JPM is that when it does have a tendency of, like, let's say over here where we did get back, we got into this trend chop where we're a little bit above and below the 9 EMA. But when we get into that above 9 EMA, a lot of times it can grind higher on that 9 EMA pullback. Yeah. So I'll be looking for a similar trend, right? If you can do it here, you could do it here too. So doesn't mean that I need to catch it on this. I can catch it on the 9 EMA pullback, but use it as an indicator to see that the banks are continuing this strength and the XLF can continue higher. That can help the rally broaden out, right? I do expect tech to get a lift, but it's going to be some tech. I think that some tech could be going down, like some tech that's been struggling. Like you look at Apple's chart, right? You look at Amazon's chart. They've been on the struggle, right? Meta had a huge comeback day, and I'm looking to see which of these big boys can actually hold up here, right? I think that's what you need to be watching to see what happens here. I don't think it's going to be just all of them. And so watch out there. It could be a little bit choppy in the tech game. So I'm looking at the other spaces to see if they can push. Of course, it doesn't mean we can't trade these tech names, but I think it's more like a show me move in technology. And I'm watching the action in those financials and industrials to really get the rotation into those sectors.
Yeah. Oh, and I couldn't agree more, right? That's we're seeing that already. We've been seeing it for a long time with, right? You just look at the longer term charts. If we go to, right, we go to the Qs as the best proxy for tech. That's been down quite a bit, but right, XLI, like you mentioned, XLF, these things have been holding much better. RSP, which is the equal weighted S&P 500, that's been strong as well. So we've been seeing that a bit, right? And I just want to remind people, I gotta shrink this a bit, but I just want to remind people that this is the kind of thing that we see, or that we expect to see, if this chart, which I remember bringing you guys at the beginning of the year, comes to fruition, right? And this is the average across bull markets, right? And we are in year 3 of a bull market. It's been a great, amazing bull market so far. I feel sorry for anyone who's been missing it, but it's been fantastic for the first 2 years. So this box right here, this is year 1 of the bull market. And this is the average year 1. We basically underperformed it by a little bit in 2022, 2023. So we did a little worse on year 1. We did a little better on year 2. What we were kind of tracking. And then year 3, you can see this is generally what happens at year 3 of a bull market. It can be a challenging year. It can be sideways, kind of choppy action with little to no return. So that is generally caused by what Mitch was just talking about with rotation. Right? We got to remember that the stock market, the SPY, is just a basket of stocks. So if some of those are going up and some of those are going down, then the SPY won't move. But you'll start to see things under the hood. This is why we talk about all the time. Like, look how close financials are to their high. They didn't suffer nearly as much of a drawdown as the overall market, right? Only down 4% here from all-time highs. So yeah, it just shows you that depending on where you look, there's different amounts of scariness going on. And I think that's a thing that was very interesting. I was talking to a buddy of mine who's an economist, which I'm obviously not. But he kind of proposed a theory about what if there's never a broad recession ever again, but we get what he called rolling recessions. So, the car market, for example, goes down, but the housing market stays strong. So it's not a recession. And then, what if we do lose some jobs, but we don't lose, it's only in one sector we lose a bunch of jobs. So that becomes, and that's kind of what he was talking about. I mean, to me, what I heard as a technician, a trader, and investor was that rotation, right? Because if we're getting, stocks like Tesla that are in obviously bear market territory, for sure, like deep bear market territory, then we have other stocks that are hitting new all-time highs. We could just have this rolling, and this could happen all the time. And he basically, a lot of his point was, you got to remember that these terms, recession and all of this stuff, this came way back in the day where, everyone just made shoes and the economy wasn't as large or as complicated as it is now. So doing something like, are we in a recession, to him, he's like, it's nonsensical, because this thing's down and then this thing's up and then this thing's moving sideways. So he just thinks there will never be that kind of broad recession kind of called ever again, because you don't need to, right? A little bit of a sell here in the SPY.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's wrong. I think that's what a lot of the economists said that happened with the recent bear market, right? And that if a lot of people were calling for recession, they said that that's what happened, right? I think, it's just one of those things where I think it's more bend or not break. And that's what you need to be asking yourself. I feel like a lot of times when we've gotten these bends down, we haven't broken, right? And that's the truth, right? As long as there's no real break of the economy, well, then the things can come right back up. It's just what it seems like, right? And I can tell you that, at least from my experience, that's what I've seen a lot of the times where everyone gets in this uncertainty and everyone starts getting bearish, but there's not the breakdown moment, right? The real collapsing moment where the SPY is getting a halt down move, right? If that's happening, well, then that's where I think you really draw the line of this is scary, right? And we haven't had one of those since the pandemic, right? Let's just be honest, right?
Well, and one of his big arguments about that kind of thing not happening again too was just the proliferation of people every 2 weeks, regardless of what happens. And we've seen it through inflation and pandemic and loss of jobs and whatever, just plowing a certain amount of money into the market kind of over and over and over again. And as long as that continues, he's kind of talking about how there'll never be those massive crashes, barring again a pandemic or war or something like that, because it just allows the market to digest a little bit quicker. So again, it was very, very interesting conversation. It was way out of my depth on, but and it's one of those, if you're holding Tesla right now, it feels like a bear market, right? If you're holding, say your portfolio was Tesla, Nvidia, I think Meta's down quite a bit, and you're looking at your portfolio every day, and it's on average down, from the highs where you were looking, right? You're down 20-30% on your portfolio. Feels to you like we're in a bear market. So it doesn't really matter that the SPY has been holding on okay, because we've seen this rotation into industrials and into financials and gold and all of these things. To you, it feels bear market-ish. So, the question is, are we in a bear market? Well, it depends what you hold. Right, a lot of people hold a lot of those things that have that crazy volatility, like Palantir, right? That dropped again. I really like this chart. I wanted to talk about this. I can't wait for us to get swing trading accounts. I like swing trading so much better than day trading. This 28% off all-time highs, which is just like a couple days ago, right? To these people feels like a bear market, right?
Yeah, I can't wait to do that too. And I'm getting to that point too, where I'm starting to itch again for the 8-9 positions, right? Certain times, especially when we get rallies like we've had, those are the moments where, you can separate the money in 8 or 9 positions and make money in each one of those, right? And really kind of diversify there. Maybe like in the way that I've been looking at it, right? Maybe I have 2 or 3 industrial names. Maybe I have 2 financial names, and then I can take a high flyer, like a tech name, right? And give it a little bit of a bet there, right? So we'll see what happens here. And then the fun part is also like being able to be a little flexible on that look, right? Maybe I'm swing long, but today short, right? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Right. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. When I feel the days, because when you're swing trading, a lot of times you'll feel those days where you're just like, today's that day where I feel like it's going to be like my position's going to come back a little bit. I just got to hold on a little bit. Look at the major levels. Right. Well, those are the days that we could still make money in the quick term, the fast trading, the day trading on the downside, make some money and then not feel so stressed out as the swing is coming back on you because you're still cashing.
That is I think my game plan. I know a lot of traders that do that. They trade futures or stocks or whatever it is. They come up with short intraday strategies. and they use that to weather volatility and storms from longer term strategies, right? So I'm going to be long the market because the market generally goes up, and it just makes sense to put those
All right,
odds in
we're
my
open,
favor.
guys. We're open. Let's have some fun, guys. I'm looking for a quick trade on SQQQ out the gates here.
Yeah, a little bit of a push there. Oh, a little flush off the open there for the market. So just pay attention to that. And
All
we're
right, taking
flushing.
a little bit long on SQQQ here, guys. Going to take a short risk here and look to see if we just get a drive towards the 35s here.
Yeah, first move is a flush, right? So some profit taking coming in. Now we just gotta, it's the whole what's next, right? So you can see me sitting here with my hands off the keyboard and just watching, because yeah, a lot of the thing is, when the market gaps this much, there's a lot of emotions in pretty much everything. And I do definitely risk and have the potential to miss all of my trades if we do just flush like this, because I went through my whole list and I was looking to the short side. But I'm going to be okay with that. And I just have to be okay with that, because that's just kind of the way we have to go. We have to be okay with, this particular missing it, just because I'm not going to get involved in this first 2 minutes or so of action. But things like coin definitely broke down off the open, so that would have been a potential short. Lunar just opposite, ripping. That looks like it's going to halt in a second. That thing's moving real strong, so that should give me a chance. This Zim, I don't know why this chart's weird, but there must have been some sort of corporate action. And Gur just falling apart, Hims falling apart, and a firm holding on a little bit there. So right, we're
Not
bouncing
getting that instant action here. It's just like right off the highs here, looking for it to break the SQQQ. Let's see if it breaks up to the upside or not here. I want to be real quick with this trade. There we go. Nice little attempted move here, and it didn't hold at all there. So we'll look to see if it goes higher. But
yeah, the Qs are definitely looking actually a little bit relatively strong just off the open to the market, which is certainly unusual, right? Generally, you see that kind of the other way around. But, just zooming out, here's the 30-minute chart of the spot.
out.
It's all
Take a small out right now. It's just not going, right? I wanted it to go quickly there on the dip there. It's not going, so I'll just hold off right now. It still could go off of it, but it's a 10-cent stop out versus just trying to push it, and then it breaks the low, which is 72. Instantly 30-cent stop out there. So we'll see if it gets back through the 35. I don't mind it, because this is a quick trade kind of look here, but let's see what happens. XLE holding in here. I'm just looking around to see what kind of trades are holding. SMR,
yeah, and that's,
being alert.
I think that's still a great trade, right? Because you had your idea, you took your shot. You knew it was off the open, so things get a little wild off the open. So you took your shot and kind of moved on. So we'll see what this bounce turns into here on the SPY. Now we're back above everything. This is why I kind of mentioned not chasing things off the open, but if we bounce a little bit and then roll over a little bit later, I'll still look to take some of those shorts. But we're 3 minutes into the open, right? It's not a really exciting time for me right now. I'm just kind of watching and waiting. One thing that's interesting to me that I'm watching a bit here from these longer term swings that I've been talking about, which haven't been working out well, but I'll be super honest with that, is silver actually is looking a little interesting, pulling back for 3 days. We talked about this a lot, with Mitch saying, hey, why don't you use your long-term analysis skills and try to do day trading around that? I thought that was a really good idea. So we're going to take a look there on that. So, I tried a couple trades with gold. They didn't work out last week. Silver, again, these are more after that first 30 minutes. The first 30 minutes, I want to be taking trades just off this opening range kind of scalping strategy I have. And then from there, I want to go and do much longer term trades and kind of hold those until the end of the day.
So far, seeing a lot of 15-minute supports holding there. XLE pretty strong out the gates there. So is Micron. Micron was one name that I got a big win on Friday. That's looking like it's coming back right now. That's the trend that's probably holding up a little bit of the Qs here. Qs now starting to come down a little bit there, so we could start getting that move back above the 35 there. We'll see what happens there. Now it's starting to get the spike towards the 34.90s. Could recover there towards the 35 on the SQQQ. I'm watching NNE here for potential entry on a pullback here towards the 31.25s. We'll see what happens here on NNE. Of course, that's in the industrial space, and it's that nuclear stock. We'll see what happens. The only thing that's concerning is the spread today. That spread is a little wide for my comfort.
Yeah, I'm still nothing for me yet. I'm watching this lunar just ripping off the open, so it'll be a while till I got a trigger on this. GUR. That triggered, and it's still above the trigger. So I might actually look to take a little bit of a shot on this one. GRRR. Right, so the trigger is always the close of the candle. We're a little bit above that, and we bounced back into VWAP and then failed. So I might take a little bit of a shot here. Again, I've got my position sizer up there that I really love. That just shows here's the amount of risk to take to risk my 25 bucks that I'm going for here while I dig this account back out.
Starter on long NNE.
Just trying to see if that fails, and then everything else looks like it's kind of already triggered here. So we're going to spend most of the time today, I think, looking at the market. So it's pulling up here. Now we'll be interested. Each of these 2-minute candles, these are 2-minute candles right here, just topping tail after topping tail on the way up. Now, I don't know, that flush off the open, that could have just been a nice little liquidity grab. That could have been all we got for a downside. That could have been the market saying, right, give me some of that liquidity, and then we move on. But I don't really know. It's one of those big gaps on the market can often resolved in choppy action, right? All the action's kind of done right off the open. If you don't get an opening drive that's very interesting, sometimes it's best just to go, okay, well, nothing's really happening. Let's just kind of chop sideways. So I'm watching, of course, this purple line up here. This is the pre-market high. I think that will be the most interesting area to potentially take a look at, just because we've had such a rally in already. What I'm looking for, and as part of the whole liquidity grab strategy I'm trying to build, is if we get through that zone, we break through its 571.5, we get through 571.5, and then we fade. I think that would be very interesting. That would be sucking in a little bit more from the short side.
All right, guys, moving back and forth here on NNE. You can look for another break towards the upside of the high of the day. That's above the 3150s. So risk and return here is looking good. Just trying to see if the industrials can hold here. Q's coming back, SPY coming back. Looking to see if we can get a push.
Yeah. Everything's coming back here. What a little dip and rip. Right? We dipped it down, and we just start rallying this thing right back up. So there's the pre-market highs. So it'll be very interesting to see if we get through those and then fail. That might be an interesting short. If we just blow through them and don't look back, then this is going to be one wicked day when it comes to the upside. So maybe, I don't know, it's still a long way, but maybe my 575.5 here, which again is the AVWAP, and then this candle's low right there. Maybe that's going to come into play, because we're moving, that's for sure.
Trying to add here on pullbacks here on NNE. I'm looking good here for the break. It's just more, will I get the ads now? I'm putting ads out, but on pullbacks, looking to try to get filled on that pullback and try not to extend too far away from my entry, right? Where the spread comes back and gets me and helps me here, that's fine. But don't want to reach up to the offer there, because I'm just going to instantly get like that bid down expansion, and then boom, stop out, right? And so if it just goes, it goes. One of the things with NNE is a lot of times when I get it right, it just runs. So we'll see what happens here. Nice little push right back towards 31.42s. I'll show you guys that trade right here. You guys see it? I went back up there. So I grabbed it on this pullback towards the 31. Grabbed there. I think I got right on 31 entry. So a pretty good entry there. You guys can see it. 31 right on the dot there. So let's see if it goes back to this high. I'm not going to give it the chance really to break right back down, but I'm going to give it the chance to break out through that.
Yeah, the SPY just continuing to rip here.
Yeah, strong action there. SPY right back up. XLI holding well there. XLF not looking too bad. Also starting to hold in there. If I look at the sector's outlook this morning from the open, real estate, industrials, basic materials, then technology. You got energy. Only sector in the red, communication services. Those dividend players probably getting taking a hit. Even defensive is up, right? So all out rally right now. Healthcare pushing strong there, guys.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I would definitely look at there. Didn't expect to see that. Financials holding in well. Real estate leading the action. Industrials right behind it. What's doing well? GE, Lockheed Martin bouncing back a little bit there. That's going to help overall. Engineering up, metal fabrication, a lot of names there doing well. How the airlines doing? Pushing strong there, guys. Delta, United Airlines, all areas that I like to see that are doing well.
Yeah, everything is just on fire here. Just looking at Zim there is interesting, but yeah, the SPY is continuing to push really strong. This dip, I think, was all they needed to get the liquidity they wanted to push this thing higher. So that is too much of a stretch for me. For if we break back down below the pre-market high, I don't think I'll be taking a trade there. The only thing I've taken so far and up a little bit on is this GUR. Again, just trying to do 1 or 2 a day, put a couple bucks in the pockets, just kind of keep grinding with this strategy, and then spend most of my time looking at potential new strategies. So interesting here that Coinbase hasn't moved nearly as much as the S&P 500 if we're talking relative to this high. So that might be an interesting one as well, where it's big move potential have there to fade. So if the market just stops, then Coinbase may chill out as well. I'm looking at Bitcoin and it's doing well, but it's not at pre-market highs, right? If we use the MBT1, these are the Bitcoin futures. MBT1. Why isn't it doing micro Bitcoin futures? There we go. Yeah, so this is the pre-market high on the Bitcoin futures. You can see we're fading a little bit there. The Qs, you can see struggling at those highs as well, but the SPY just ripping. So this just shows that it really is one of those everything rallies. If you have the SPY moving really well, and then you have everything else not doing so well, it just shows you that it's one of those where we don't need tech, right? This isn't a tech-driven rally. This is an everything rally.
Yeah, SPY is holding well here on this pullback, even though the Qs are pulling back a decent amount there. That's kind of what I want to see. I want to see the SPY kind of take the action to the upside, have some relative strength, show some broadening out of the rally. Bank of America on watch here on this pullback.
Yeah, so we're getting a little bit of a rest here in the markets. Again, the SPY is starting to pull back. To now, I'm more looking to see, do we come back and do we tap the pre-market high, and do we see some support there, right? Now that we've blown through it so far, as opposed to a potential fade. But the Qs here, Qs are not looking nearly as healthy. So that's something we got to keep an eye on as well. Eventually, you'd want to see tech participate in a move if we're going to get a move that's really strong, but we're just not seeing that right now. If we go to the heat map and let's do today, let's say go to anything that hasn't moved. There we go. So you can see, yeah, pretty much everything, right? Finance is doing phenomenal. Different tech is doing great, of course. Even Tesla up 6% today. What a mover for Tesla. And the Q's still not really cooking, with Tesla up 6% today. That's kind of wild. And Tesla's continuing to rocket here.
I'm going to hold off of adding on NNE. I want to there, but I'd rather maybe take a different trade also, expand it with the Bank of America long here. Looking good off the 43 spot there. Wanted to see it dip into the 42.90s, kind of step on some traders there and then come right back through the 43. That's a Bank of America. NNE looking good. SMR also on the radar today. So I take a peek at SMR. SMR is doing pretty good off the 19 break right there. Nice little dip there, right back to the upside. So those are two good looking stocks. I want to see Bank of America break the 5-minute low and then come right back. Those are two plays on my radar right now, guys. And another thing, of course, XLI breaking to the upside, 134, looking good.
That's probably Boeing, right? Oh no, Boeing's
Oh no,
fading
it's
here.
Lockheed Martin. So what you're seeing there is a kind of a little bit of an arbitrage trade. They're going long on Lockheed Martin here, short on Boeing. I think they'll call it back into play by the end of the day. So watch out with that. Remember, Boeing is making the move up because Lockheed Martin didn't get the contract, and Lockheed Martin is going down because they didn't, of course, and now they're just bouncing. It's kind of like that trade right there.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's getting the move. There's that undercut on Bank of America towards the 42.88s. There's that wash type of move. Now I can look to try to see if it can recover the 42.96 here, and I can risk off the 42.88s here. So let's see if we start to come back here. There's 42.95s. Looking for the action here to show me 42.96 on the offer.
Do we have?
There it is. I'm long here on Bank of America, trying to see it hold the 42.90s now and see it get back.
We had Flash Manufacturing PMI just come out. I was wondering because there was big candles on the SPY and the Qs. So it's not a huge, not a CPI or FOMC or something, but it's a pretty big number. So we're starting to just see a little bit of chop and slop there on that one. So just pay attention.
All right. Looks good here.
Wick to the up, wick to the down.
All right, guys. Now looking to see Bank of America make the move here. Of course, don't have too much size there because I have 2 trades on now, so I don't want to get the wash on both and then get hit. But I'm looking good here. Bank of America long, guys. Long off of the Bank of America move here. I'll show you guys that. Nice little recovery of the 43. I was looking for this expanded range back down, cracking some of the support. Cracked it, came right back. So that's what I was looking for. Got in there. Now looking for the break towards the high here. Let's see if it can break the high 43.11, I think. Yeah, 43.11, getting into the 43.20s and then 43.30s. Next move up here could be a move back into the 43.50. We'll see if we get that move.
SPY getting close to today's highs again, so a little bit of a flash down on that whatever that PMI was, but doesn't look like it's hurting us in any way, shape, or form as we're just hitting new highs there.
All right, just added on Bank of America. Now 300 off 43s. I'm going to hold break even on the action here. It could cut me out, but I'm just looking for the expansion. Quick move here. Bank of America higher. There we go. Now 43.05. Let's see if we break the high. Start to make the move there. XLF is what I'm looking at to see if it can break through that high now and then just keep breaking through that 50 spot right here. A pullback, and I'll just get out break even on Bank of America. NNE looking good there too, right? So now NNE is right at the high there. So my stops on this is break even at 31. We're at 31.74. I didn't get the ads. I wanted more shares, but that's okay. I'm just giving myself the chance to ride the wave right now. Let's see if I can ride the wave and make some cash.
Yeah, the market's definitely waving, right? It's moving to highs here. I got kind of off guard with that number. I didn't expect that one. I knew we had the one before the open, but we had that one. That definitely shook us up just a little bit here. I've got my coin short and I've got my GRR short, and those are the only 2 kind of trades I've got from the system so far today. HIMS is still an idea that could play out, and same with ZIM, but just nothing really shown. And with the SPY ripping to highs here, I'm not super excited about any of these short ideas I had off the open.
Was able to flip there. You guys saw me. I started with a trade to the downside and just said, okay, well, the market's not showing me that. Let me just go with what I see right now. NNE breaking the high there, 31.90s, looking good, right? I just needed a little bit more share size on that trade. I will say that, right? But I'm up about $40 on 50 shares, so I can't be too upset, right? I've made about $2 on NNE before on the share size, so you got to be also careful with a spread like that. So let's see if it takes the move there. Bank of America, really careful here off the 43s. Wanted to go, but it's not going. So might get stopped out on the pullback here. And it's okay because I can reload into it. I just want to catch it on the run, not the breakdown here. Let's see if it goes for the breakout here into the 43.20s. NNE might be able to take some push on the next move through 32s. I'll look to take some gains.
Yeah, the SPY is, I don't want to say struggling, but a couple topping tails up in this 572.5 zone. So at least the crazy momentum has died down for now. I guess all the earnings and everything and all these news events are out of the way. I went in to check just to make sure we're not missing anything else. And the only other thing is we got some FOMC guy talking way in the afternoon. So the market is free to do whatever the market wants to do, which is right now just continue to rip the highs.
All right, Bank of America now going for the move here. Now it's at 43.09. I'm stopping my stop loss there, not to show my hand there. Looking for the pop through the 43.10s here into the 43.20s. I'll go ahead and I'll sell towards like 43.30s, 43.40s, somewhere in there. If I can ride the momentum up higher, I'm trying to get the push into that and sell into it.
A little bit of a downtick there in the market. Just nothing really huge to say, but just again, there's this area seems to be more or less a battle zone for now. Right now, the trend is obviously higher, so we have to expect any battle zones to resolve to the upside. But a little fight going on here, so we're just watching that closely to see what the next move in the market potentially could be. But a little bit overextended to the upside, but you know, it doesn't mean anything. Right? Trends can persist for incredibly long periods of time, so. There might be some people that look to the short side, then, but I'm not going to be one of those that takes those well. Thankfully, my GRR here and CoinL are not ripping with the market, so that makes me a little bit more confident in them that if the market chills out, doesn't necessarily need to sell off, but if the market just hangs out here, then I've gotten some names that are somewhat relatively weak to the market. Which is all we're going for. But there's nothing saying that this market just can't continue just to rip to new highs here. We've got nothing in its way except a random tweet that could come out of the blue. But until then, we've got absolutely nothing in the market's way when it comes to economic events or anything like that. Just very, very strong, right? We go to the 30-minute chart. That little dip off the open did look like it might, kind of fade in, but just 2 minutes of a dip, and then that was enough for them to turn on the buy programs. And this feels very buy program-ish. Just look at all the bottoming tails. Right? Who knows when they'll be done and they'll turn it off, but we'll see. Steph says, any idea when the insanity will stop? Well, if you're dealing with the stock market, the answer to that is never.
Yep.
The stock market
is never, man.
Always insane and always will
especially
be
in a Trump administration. I'll tell you that much. It was exciting last time.
What's that, 4 years? Is that how long it goes for you guys?
4 years, man. Well, 4 years of this insanity. Get ready. Buckle in.
Another question, do we trade small caps? Yeah, we'll trade whatever there's an opportunity on, right? So I have this GRR, which is most certainly a small cap.
I'm watching one too. I'm watching UCAR, but that's not going anywhere.
Yeah, sometimes there are good opportunities in small caps. Sometimes there's good opportunities in large caps. We'll just trade whatever come through and have a good setup, that we've have testing on and we've got some idea behind. But we always keep our eyes on the market, because if the market's ripping, then it gets way harder to short things, and if the market's tanking, it gets way harder to buy things. And right now the market's ripping, so it's one of those. I'm doing a lot of sitting here.
Can we get it? Can we get the Bank of America breakout through here? 15-minute candles all in this high, so it needs to go now, guys. If not, I'll be break even on 43s. So I like these trades, right? At the end of the day, sometimes you feel pressure here, and it's really, I'm in the driver's seat. Can't be upset about this, right? Setting myself up for success. Could take the $30 and just get out of it. That's not going to do it for us, guys. We're looking for that 2-to-1 at minimum. So in here, the risk was about 10 cents. So I got to get that 20 cents at least. That's going to be breaking through here towards the 43.20s. Let's see if we can get that. And what I'm looking for is a break above 43.20s, like 43.25, 43.28, somewhere in there. Cash it and look to see if we get a reload move on the pullback. XLE starting to pull back there. So is the XLI. Not like a big pullback, but definitely keeping an eye on that. XLF holding on to the 50 there. I like that look. I want to see some financials lead here. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, a little down tick in the market, but that's obviously not saying much.
Yeah, not saying much at all.
when we've been ripping like this. We can definitely use a downtick. We could use a retest of VWAP and still be a really strong day. We are very extended above VWAP, and I know there are a lot of traders and some systems out there that use a VWAP extension as a trade to fade. But again, that's just not me, right? I fade the longer term charts in the direction of the shorter term charts, not the other way around, right? I know there's some people out there that like to try to snag the top. I'm just not one of those guys. But
all right, let's see if we can get this push now. Hide the day touch here. Don't want to see a pullback on that. I want to see an expansion above that right here on the XLF. Let's see if the XLF can make a little bit of a drive here. I'm watching it on the 9 EMA, seeing and make sure that we don't break down through that 9 EMA. So momentum, right? I'm trying to trade momentum. I'm going to keep it going with the momentum style of indicator.
Yeah, so my Coinbase is getting very close to a stop out here. It's just, again, this is why we talked about whether it's a small cap or a large cap, doesn't matter. You keep your eye on the market, because even though this was relatively weak to the market, if the market's just going to continue to rip like this, all the short ideas are not going to end up working out. So if the market just calms down, then we could get a little bit of reverse here, but it's getting close to my stop. So it is what it is. All right,
guys, I'm going to be looking to try to maybe take an ad on the NNE. Oof, the spread, man. The spread on this thing is tough. It's tough. Let me see if I can get 35 here. Looks like I might get it. All right. Didn't get a huge ad there. Just added like 20 shares there, 25 shares to give myself a shot for the break right back up and a breakout, right? But I'm break even on this, essentially, on NNE. And so I got the shot to reload, and I'm just going to take it and then just average, right? Because the 15-minute can hold this candle here, not break the low around, I'm at 31.11 now. I wanted to be close to this bottom so like we can hold this candle, get it right back through that high. That's a nice breakout, good risk to return here. So we'll see what happens there. That's all we can do a lot of the times. And what am I doing? I'm trying to protect myself on downturns here, making sure that if I do get a downturn, just break even, right? And so I'll take that. Let's go.
Well, that makes perfect sense right? And it's one of those you got to look at sometimes your stock and say, well, the market is ripping. If this thing's not going to participate, time to tighten things up, which I think is what you're doing. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Again, there's really no commentary we have. Rando is right. We're getting close to the 200-day moving average on the SPY. That's an interesting zone, but it's just not a place that I would take any trades off of, just because this thing's been too crazy for me.
So small caps, there's some industrial stocks moving there, some staffing stocks. That's when you know it's just moving all around there. Lunar. Oh, this one, not a bad pullback there. Nice little pullback off of the VWAP there. 826, not looking too bad on a day where you're getting industrials to lead the market, and a bounce back in LUNR. So maybe the 8 pullback is what I like there. And it did go back right to 810s. Not looking too bad. Some tight consolidation on the 15 there.
Yeah, and that one did trigger from the short setup, but I just didn't take it because, again, the market's just been ripping like this. So I want to give it, I want to see some pullback in the market. So if Lunar bounces and fails again, that's potentially short to take. I've got my GRR, which I'm up on, and my coin that I'm down on, and I'm just
Rocket
waiting.
Lab, guys. I'm seeing a nice industry-wide move in aerospace and defense. So it's not just one name, right? And that's the important thing. That's what I like to point to a lot of the times. Rocket Lab, good move there, guys. Archer moving higher, one to keep an eye out for. Momentous also getting a little lift there. So that tells me more and more. A lot of these kind of names have been in play before, but I think these are names to look at to see if we get a continued move there.
Yeah, the SPY, I'm just watching it here on a shorter term chart, and it's every downtick. Like, just look at and you can see on the 2-minute chart here, just pay attention to the bottoming tails, right?
Yeah.
Tons and tons and tons of bottoming tails. And that just shows that every downtick so far is just getting bought up immediately. Just we tick down and a buyer steps in. We tick down and a buyer steps in. So this is why, until I see that end and we can just at least get a 2-minute candle that closes on its lows, I'm not interested in any of those short plays that are coming through my setup, right? So
there we go. Bank of America now moving higher above the 43.10s and pushing new high a day. Let's go.
yeah, so it's just one of those where, I'm proud of myself for kind of staying my hand, just because again, this has been wild. So there's a new 30-minute candle just came in.
Oh.
So a new, we've rolled over that time, but you can see we down tick, but another bottoming tail on the 2-minute candle, and it just seems like there's just no end to this this sell-off or this rally in sight. So very much just if you own something, great. The yeah, if you here we go, maybe. So right, you just look at the candle lows and look at how every candle low is higher than the one before it. This one ticks down a bit, but just shows this is the kind of thing that you'll see with very aggressive buy programs. They don't have any kind of, it's the idea is on any dip I want to buy stocks, on any dip I want to buy stocks, and until that buy program gets turned off, which who knows, right? Could be now. We're seeing a little bit of downtick. It could be tomorrow.
Getting close to that 10 o'clock here, guys. We could see a little reversal here. Definitely out of Bank of America there, guys. So out on that one. Was thinking about taking the $30 there. Maybe should have just ran with it, but it wasn't too much there. Just continuing the battle. Bank of America right back towards the 43s. We'll look to see if we can catch some dip here and then get right back up.
Yeah, so now I don't even want to say that we're dipping because like we haven't moved, but yeah, that's what I'm looking for, is if we dip a bit, where do we get buyers come in? But again, we still haven't had a 2-minute candle that's closed bearish pretty much the entire day. So that little flush right off the open, and then we've just been rallying. So this is great, and this is one of those things that we talk about multiple time frames a lot. You notice I'm not doing too much. I got my 2 trades on. I'm talking myself out of these shorts and happy that I've done that. And the reason is because, like you guys know, I'm a long-term swing trader and investor, and I'm trying to kind of dip my hands in day trading. So if I look at my overall portfolio, this is fantastic. Everything else is that I own is up substantially because the market's up. So it's like what kind of Mitch talked about before, is that swinging from the long side exclusively, and then day trading from the short side, not exclusively but primarily, ends up being a really good way to do it from just overall kind of net worth standpoint, right? Where I'm always long stuff, right? It's just the way it works. I'm long stocks, right? I'm long some bonds, I'm long my house and real estate, a lot of things. So now it's one of those where I need to make sure that it's one of those things that I have as short setups, and for me those are day trading. So
Bank of America still holding pretty well here, guys. I just want to see if the SPY can get another breakout candle back to the upside. Candles are getting smaller right now on the 5-minute, so could see a pullback to 572 here and then the lift higher. So that's what kept me a little bit out of the Bank of America, just re-entry immediately right back where I got out. But just watching it here, trying to see if they're going to pull the financials here. A little bit of a pullback kind of could come right into play on the 5-minute charts. So I'm watching that.
Yeah, it's just right, relentless buying. So I think there's probably a lot of people that are like you that are waiting for a pullback, and generally when you have a lot of people waiting for a pullback, those pullbacks become shallow and just bought right up because everyone's just saying, give me some better price to buy and I'll buy. You end up getting pretty substantial rips off of those pullbacks. So it's definitely one of those, everybody who shorted off the open is feeling the pain. So you have one of those where, especially, and we're talking bigger guys, right? People like us, we short, and if our stop gets hit, we get stopped out and we move on with our lives. But the big guys, anyone who was betting that this rally off the lows in the market wasn't going to continue, they're having a little bit of a hard time. So
All right, here's the decision-making moment again coming to me, and so it's just more: do I want to get back into Bank of America? And it doesn't look bad on the bigger time frame. So I'm watching the 15-minute XLF to see if we can get just a higher low here, and then to move right back to the 50s. It seems like it's holding well there.
I am watching gold here. I mentioned silver, but I think gold might be a better target to a little bit of a short side. Just because, again, if the market is going to rally, this is going to be tariff news and things like that, then, people might start to sell some of their gold and say, okay, the market's calming down. Things are kind of calming down. Let's just, relax, sell some of our gold, maybe buy some stocks. So this defensive asset might just actually be the one to come down just a little bit here. So I'm watching that. I forget the ticker. Was it GLL? Yeah, so that's an ultra short gold, but very illiquid. So I need to watch something. My coin has actually held on barely, right? Stop at high of the day. Has barely held on, even with the big rip in the market. So that's something that I have to say that's interesting, right? You'd imagine that Coinbase and the big tech kind of names would be doing well, but they're not. This particular one anyway, so that's good. And my GUR holding there as well, not really great on either side. So Lunar has triggered again. I'm just looking at the SPY, and although we are resting for a second, this doesn't feel like an aggressive pullback by any means. So
No, it's if anything, chances for longs.
yeah, I think that's what I'm feeling. So I don't, it's one of those, the areas of discretion in which I'm giving myself with these setups aren't, where to put a stop loss or to take a trade. It's
Long again, Bank of America.
It's to ignore trades, right? And this might be one that I just ignore just because it's, the market has just been so strong. So it might be one of those where I say, listen, Michael, you're making money elsewhere. Don't push it too much on the short side when it comes to your intraday trading.
All right, got stopped out of there. NNE on the break even. So I'm looking to get maybe right back in just at a lower price and looking for the move back above the 3130s. But it's more about, just looking to see if we can get this continued rally here. So took the Bank of America, now looking for Bank of America to get the move. And then I'll look for also NNE to get the move.
Yeah, and look at that on the SPY. So that's what I'm talking about there, right? We had a little bit of a dip, a little bit of a red candle that looked bad.
Quickly got scooped
and then
up.
Bought it right back up. And that's the that's shorts, right? That we're shorting into this rally, finally getting a little bit of relief. And then there are a lot of people out there who's going, oh man, I missed the open. I'm going to buy that. So both of those things happen. So now it just becomes very simple, right? The area that I'm watching is this low right here. And are we going to lose that? Just to see if that gets lost, because yeah, what a quick and meaningful reversal off that level. So
Yeah. Now looking to see if we can get this NNE. I took the shot there, guys, and I got 100 shares there at 3120s. Wanted like 3115s. It kind of spread out there, so I just grabbed the 3120s. We'll see if we get back through the 3133s, risking off that 31. So about $20, maximum about $30 towards that 3090s. We'll see what happens. NNE, XLE going right back to the highs. We'll see what happens on some other action. XLI holding in there. SPY kind of sideways on the 15. We'll see if it can make the move on the 5-minute candle off of that kind of 572 look. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, this feels like a rest. Also, market's up a lot, right? It's up a lot in a not a bear market, but in a market correction, right? And I've always say the biggest bounces happen in bear markets and corrections. So that's why, again, even in these markets, I'm looking for upside. But I'm just saying it's up a lot, so it could need a little bit of a rest, right? So it wouldn't shock me if we end up getting this. That was it, right? I wouldn't be surprised if that was the high of the day for the market, but then we don't really see a low of the day either, and we just end up here, right? We've had a big push up, and then we've just Say, okay, we're digesting. So we're below that little low. So next area obviously is going to be VWAP, and it's going to be the pre-market high. If we get into that zone, that feels like kind of the last line of defense here for potential buyers. Just in this zone right here. And we may get bought up, obviously, before that as well. But that's just kind of the area I think everyone's going to be watching. If we can get through that zone and then dig in, that would be the most patient area, I guess, to wait for a buy.
All right, looking for the rip now. Let's see if we get this move right back up and then a push to the upside where the SPY can just hold this 9 EMA pullback on a 5-minute and take the 573 move to the upside.
Yeah, you can, and this pattern made sense when you look at the 5-minute that we were going to have that little bit of a pullback because there's a lot of topping tails up in there. So there's a lot of selling going on, but again, you're seeing it every time, right? Every time there's any amount of selling, there are buyers. Again, we have no idea when these guys give up, right? It's not our job. We just know that they're here right now, so we want to be looking to that particular side. As long as they remain, great. And when they go, we take our stops and we move on to something else.
All right, looking to see if I can get a recovery here on a 15-minute candle on NNE. Don't want to see it break 31s here. It's right in between the spread there. If it could recover, we'll be looking good there. Just watching the XLI. Want to see the XLI take the 134 here. XLI was on the radar today. Looking to see if that can continue to push.
Yeah, nice consolidation on the XLI there above VWAP, showing some definite
XLF
strength.
break there to the high. Not bad.
Yeah, financials continuing. Qs underperforming still. Right? The Qs are at VWAP.
Stock on the playbook today doing well. Caterpillar now. Not a crazy move, but it's starting to get the move. And I think that one's a good one to watch for swing alert. Reason why is it came from a bearish move on Friday. And so I liked those types of trades where you're kind of getting bearish. You were looking to see if you'd get a big breakdown and you're getting like kind of a reversal with a lot of volume also on that candle.
Yeah, it's an interesting look. Caterpillar.
Came back and got me there. It's a break even cut out there in Bank of America. I might get right back in it, guys. You gotta keep playing with it right now. And one of the things that I want to keep looking for is the setups coming back and then looking to see if they can make the breakout or not.
But yeah, another dip there in the SPY, right? Another 2-minute dip and then just ripped right back up, right? If we go into like a 1-minute chart, it might even illustrate it more. Yeah. So that's all on a 1-minute chart. They tried to dip it back down into these lows, and then just buyers came in and bought immediately. So again, this still feels very buy program-esque, where we're just getting every dip is just being bought and quickly, right? The speed of those dips being bought, I think, is one of the things that's very important to note. In which we're looking for, if it's a human, it's going to be slower. If it's a system, if it's a program, those are the moments where, again, I've talked about these a lot, and I know how these programs operate, and they buy randomly, and they buy at levels and zones, right? You'll never see a large institution be dumb enough to go, okay, I'm going to put 10,000 shares out on the bid, or I'm going to sweep 10,000 shares against the offer. They're never going to be dumb enough to do that because they have systems, and those systems will say, okay, I want to buy the SPY today. So every little dip, the system just turns on and it just starts pinging orders out into the market and just shooting orders out. And that's what creates these rips, because every time the market dips, a system just turns on and just floods the market with little random buy prints. Right?
There. Nice starting move there. And then Ian, I'm with you on it. I'm seeing it too. That's why I'm trying to keep my stops so tight right now, because the opposite move is like a washout. And so I'm just looking to see that when's the breakout coming, all right? And I want to partake in the breakout with minimal risk, essentially.
Yeah, and that's the idea, is that, again, like I mentioned, we don't know when this guy is going to be up. right? It looks like we're going to hit new highs, but it could be up right now, right? It just at this very second, they could say, okay, that's the end of the buy program. And we don't know. So what we're trying to do, and what we're always trying to do, is say, okay, well, the momentum's there, here, the trend's here. So we're going to stick with that until something tells us, it's time to go.
Yeah, and very tight risk today, guys. Like right now, okay sizing 300 shares, risking $12. Like it's not much. What am I doing? I keep risking underneath the 9 EMA. And then when it comes to a level of 10 cents over, I'm going break even. And I've gotten a bunch of break even stop outs like that, setting up for the bigger move. Here comes NNE trying to reward me. Let's see if it can give me the reward, guys. Now NNE is one of those that I got to go back to break even and just let it go if it wants to make the run.
Yeah, and here comes SPY highs too. So we'll see what happens here. Right, we're back at these highs right here on the SPY.
I got you here. Go ahead.
Right, so we'll see what happens. So again, double tops are super rare. So even if you were in the bear camp, you probably expect a big flush through and then it to come back down. But look at those solid 2-minute candles up. Look at how all these 2-minute candles down had lots and lots of bottoming tails, and these 2-minute candles up just don't. Right, they're just forcefully pushing this market up. And then the 30-minute chart, right? So that's a new 30-minute candle trying to make new highs. Again, our 575.60 could be in play today. So that's something to keep an eye on there as well. But yeah, it looks like we are going to break out to new highs here.
Yeah, I got to kind of hold this NNE and just take a standard risk here and look for it to go.
Yeah, these guys are... Yeah, that's a nice looking back above VWAP there. It's a nice looking kind of trade. Again, the SPY, I'd be shocked. I'm shocked every day, but I'd be shocked if they don't rip it through highs, at least just to punish the shorts just a little bit more. Again, I'm having a fun time looking at my long-term portfolio. Let's put it that way. I'm not doing too much from the short side of things, just because there's not really too much to do. So the market just continues to kind of bop higher, and we'll see what happens. If we can hold these highs, could be just another leg. So we could look at this potential leg right here, and we could extend it on those highs. I'm starting to think more and more that it could be that 575.50 that I talked about this morning could be in play.
All right, Bank of America just not going, guys. Getting NNE into the green here, and they're really starting to rip. So at this point, I'm thinking about just cutting Bank of America, just not wanting to really make the lift here. If I do hold on to it, I'm just going to be a very tight risk here. What I'm looking for is for the trend of higher lows to continue. If that changes, then I've got to get out. So essentially, that would be a cut down through the 43.03 spot here. So let's just give it a chance there, like that. As simple as that. I'm on the 5-minute here. Could cut me out at 43.03s there. If not, I'll let it go for the rip. I've already been in this trade, so it can be in and out. So just going to leave it on now there. Now it's all about NNE to me, guys. It's at 31.75 going for the breakout, and this is the move for me. If I'm going to get a good gainer today, it's this NNE. And the key is I've been kind of getting in. I got out, and that actually saved me a little bit there. Now looking for the bigger move for the break to the high. Let's see if I can get it here. Big watch here on NNE.
Yeah, SPY just continuing to battle this high again. I'm not expecting I'm not expecting it to stop here. It certainly could. Right? I'm wrong all the time, but just the fact that we get through that high by a couple ticks, I just don't think that's enough to really do some sort of crazy liquidity type move. So, and again, you don't bet. You bet on trends. This seems like it could be potentially a trend day, which are rare in the markets. You can do your studies, but about 80% of the time, the markets are kind of choppy, range bound intraday, with most of the movement happening overnight. And then 20% of the time, you have what they call trend days, where the thing just moves. So again, this is one of those where I took my hit on coin, and then I'm up a little bit on my GRR, and then that's about it. right?
Yeah, continuing to see the action in the financials. It's just not giving me that much on Bank of America. Out there on Bank of America, it still looks good with the SPY at the highs, the Qs at the high. But since NNE is on such a breakout look, I'd rather just stay to the one that's giving me the strength versus the one that I'm kind of struggling with a little bit. Another one that I see, CAT to the high. So I'm watching the XLI to see if we can break through the high there. XLE hanging out there at the 93s. Still seeing a lot of strength out there. So, hey, it's that type of day, guys. Every sector green from the open. Industrials leading it, and right behind it, coming fast, consumer cyclicals. So that's a good thing to see there. And led by auto and truck dealership and home furniture. So today on the move, guys, a name that I should have been trading here. I talked about one name on my watch list, guys, the playbook. What did I say? Carvana, guys, Carvana. Look at the move there through the 200.
Yeah.
Dip 210 on the rip. The key here is I need the bigger account for this one. But that was it. That was a really nice move, guys. I was watching this one. It was on the playbook for the long side as this is reversing back through these levels. But it was at 190 in the morning, and I was like, just 200 magnet just seems to be there. Wow, it was well over that 200 magnet. Boom, nice little lift off there.
Yeah, man, just in awe of this market, right? I've actually kind of turned off the overall account and just said, right, that's enough. It's from the top step account, I'm just like, okay, that's, I had my shot, I took my shot.
Yeah.
Just gonna mock
that Bank of America got me right there at the lows. It's right back to the high there, guys. So it's not like it's a bad one there, man. So
yeah, it's just they're a little choppy with that action, and that's
a little choppy on that one. So look for the strength out there, guys. A lot of stocks doing well. That's why that UCAR was up. I was wondering why UCAR was up. Well, I mean, all the auto ones are up here today and doing pretty well. Has that helping Tesla? Ooh, yes, it is, guys. I mean, why would the autos be going? Well, Tesla 272 now, guys. This is one definitely should have been looking at, maybe TSLL, but look at the lift off in that, guys. Pullbacks could be coming on that, but man, pushing, hanging on the top end of the Bollinger Bands and just hanging on that, showing me very little pullback.
Yeah, it's been a market for everything, right?
There's the cat out the hat. We'll see if we start to get this industrial a little bit higher. XLI has been going sideways here. I think it's getting struggle with certain areas, but man, FedEx doing well today too. Remember that was a stock that had bad earnings, got hit, and it's closing the gap. It's almost there already.
Yeah,
FedEx.
Just everything, and you can see all that in the XLI. You can see all that in just not a lot of intraday movement in the XLI, but I don't think that surprised anyone. It's pretty boring index, but just looking for, again, the only thing I'm thinking of, and I'm just trying to think of a trade today, is, again, if we undercut this high now, maybe there's a trade to be taken there. But other than that, it's one of those, if you own stuff, great. If not, I don't think there's too much to do, right? You just kind of have to have your game plan. And right, I'm going to, if I own something, great, I'll take a shot. And if I don't, that's fine. I'll get out and then just lean against whatever high is taken there. So I'm kind of watching that, right? And maybe some SPXL. And the idea would just be, right, you're shorting against this high. If we do, 5-minute close or something below that high, just to see if there's just an overall, not like a huge sell-off in the market, but just saying, hey, a little bit of profit taking makes sense here, right? A little bit of profit taking after a move like this is something that I think could be good for the market on top of a lot of things, right? But again, it's not something I'm going to short. I'm just happy that I own some stocks in my long-term stuff, and they're making some good money for me today.
All right, looking for NNE to break the high here and get into the 32s. Lead SMR as SMR is off to support, so good stock to maybe look to see if we get a leader laggard style trade, right? We'll see what happens. I'm looking at this space as being a very important theme for the whole year, right? And so I don't ever want to miss these rallies going back to these names. And one of the things that happened is NNE was able to go sideways for a certain amount of time, almost been pretty much sideways for a month now. It's started going side, yeah, exactly almost a month, guys. And so these are the types of names that I think people stop thinking about because it's sideways action for a month, and then they start thinking about it when they see the big candle, right? When they see the big candle again, and by that time it could be too late. So we'll see what happens. Can we get a continued rally? Can we get this to go higher?
So yeah, I'm just watching the SPXL just to see if there's a potential move to be had there. If the SPY fades here, which at some point it might take a break, but if it's not right at this level, and if it's not right in the next few minutes, then again there'll just be nothing to do for me today, which again isn't the worst thing in the world. But
yes, small trade, looking for long-term action. I'm starting to look at ETHU for the attempted swing. I might even look into trade into that, just because, man, off these lows, $2, it's starting to get the movement back towards the 250s. When we get in a coin run again, I want to see what happens to that thing. But just thinking swing trade overall.
Yeah, well, this is, again, it was a short-term scalp, but the long-term, I do really like this company. I just think
coin, yeah.
Of the ways to get exposure to Bitcoin in the traditional market, this is a really good way to do it, just because it's like a lot of people try to do with the miners, but the miners lose money all the time. So you got this asset that's just burning money while it's trying to mine Bitcoin. And then coin, you have a great trade, right? You got a great company. You got a guy who seems to be a good CEO, and he's running it well, and he's you got these tailwinds while you're betting on crypto moving higher, right? Because it could be one of those things that even if there was a contender to ever come to Bitcoin, Coinbase is going to have it, and they're going to do well as well. So it's an interesting play. I just like the swing, just because you're wrong, right? If it makes a new low here, it's time to go. And if this is a low that's put in, that's a substantial low, and you get back to highs, well, that's like a 50-ish +% gain. Anywhere through highs, you're talking nearly a double from here. So it's an interesting play. It's an interesting place from that longer term point of view, right? But right, as always, it's going to move with Bitcoin, right? So it's one of those, if you're trading this, and even if it's the best company in the world, and Bitcoin sells and Bitcoin falls apart, you're done, right? It's just not going to work out. So you very much have to kind of keep a very close eye on crypto if you're going to trade something that is like crypto adjacent, right? Which is what this is. So.
All right, Soxel holding on. Micron starting to pull back, so just be careful out there with that. But looking around to see which one of these tech names holding on there. Nvidia seems to be holding on well. Apple, not so much there. Meta continuing a drive today, right? That one's strong day two. So looking around at that space there. Cat still going, man. That's looking good. Deer, it hasn't been going too much. So I'm looking to see if Picard can get back to 100. The space overall, Hood was one of those, you talked about coin. I like the Hood. I told you guys, I think you'll hear good mentions of how much money they were, or how much transactions they were having in their event with March Madness. And that itself could give them a little lift. Some people are saying that Hood could be looking for sports betting companies to purchase to kind of expand that market. That's an interesting thing to think about, right? All right, guys, I'm on that kind of make it or break it, looking for that big move there in NNE. Can we get it? 3180s starting to approach the breakout look. Can we get that break? Can we go? Let's go, NNE. Let's get that breakout look there. I'm trying to see it, guys. And we'll see if the market can continue going. XLI is one that I want to see it break through that 134 and really start to push above some highs here. Resistance right on that neckline that we talked about in the pre-market, right? So can we get through that? It's going to be important.
Yeah, we've got a little area here on the SPY. So again, I'm still watching that same setup, right? If we lose that prior swing high at 573, then potentially a short could be had there on SPXL, just a little bit of a revision to test those lows. But again, that's the only thing that I'm watching right now. It's the only idea that I have for the market. And again, it's not the saying that, hey, this is, the market's doomed to sell off or anything like that. It's just saying, hey, we're overdone a little bit, right? So we're looking for potentially a little bit of a revision lower. And then if you're wrong, the beauty of these liquidity trades, which I'm liking more and more. So this could be one of those where on top of the VWAP fades, I start doing these as well. And the idea is pretty simple, right? I can even draw it out here for you guys. Right? If we end up just breaking, you're basically saying we came above this low. If we lose, or this high, if we lose that high, there could be some profit taking, some selling coming in, and then maybe we get to that low right there. So it's like a 1.5 to 1 potential risk reward play. And right where you're wrong is the beauty of it. If we end up making a new high after, I'm looking for like a 5-minute close below this high. If you end up making a new high, then it's time to go. And those are the trades that I like, especially for intraday trading, where your idea is you're looking to get in, you're looking to get out pretty quickly, right? You just want to know exactly where your risk is. You want to size that risk accordingly, and then you just kind of want to have a trade and have a level to play off of and a decision to be made. So that's how I'm looking at this right now. Like we talk about all the time, if there's no trading to do, it doesn't mean that you're done. It doesn't mean that you get to be lazy and you get to go and, watch a reality show and, I don't know, eat bonbons or whatever it is that people do, right? You got to work, right? And part of the work for me is just saying things like, okay, what ifs, right? And start to take what if trades and start to say, build new ideas and build new strategies. Because what I've noticed is that right after I pass the account with this strategy, really dried up. Not that it's like losing money substantially, but it's not doing that well. And I think it's because that was the tail end of earnings season, and now we're kind of dead when it comes to earnings season. So we need to see what happens. So again, we'll track it, but I'm looking for a 5-minute close back under this low. It could just be not the day at all to do it, just because this market's just been so incredibly strong. But because you can see it happen again, right? That's another one. We dip under and then whoof, right back through. That, again, we've been talking about this all day. That is what buy programs look like, right? Where they're looking for little extensions from some sort of a mean, and they're saying, okay, if we're under that, buy them, right? Buy them and hit them up. And right, ever inching closer to that 575.5. But right, it's one of those, we're starting to get into the lull part of the day. So it wouldn't surprise me if none of those things happen. Right? We end up breaking down. Maybe I do get my 5-minute close below that level, but then we just shake about for a bit. That was the first time the buying hasn't happened. We had the dip buy, but it hasn't continued. That was the first time so far today that dip buying wasn't met with like very aggressive action to the upside. So
what I'm looking at is I'm watching XLI like a hawk here. It's holding. It's at 134. It seems like it won't even pull back at all. And so if I get a quick pullback, I can just take money and run. But if it can keep holding here and just expand to the upside, it's not looking too bad. Really tight ascending triangle here. We'll see what happens.
Well, so let's track out that trade, right? Let's just see what would happen. So that would have been the entry to the short side. And then I don't know, what are we targeting? Probably right below this low right here. That's like a 1.27. So nothing crazy, but That's the basic idea. Again, it's one of those, if there's nothing to do, like someone's asking, are we playing the longs today? Well, I wish, but I missed. Right? You had to be quick on some of those longs. So now we
How are
we're
those small
observing.
trades doing out there? Oh, good Lord. I'm going to look at some. Let me go looking.
Yeah, now it's one of those at times that it would have been great to be one of those that trades the crazy stuff that nobody cares about. But even those, when I was looking through the gap list this morning,
Yeah.
way less than normal when it came to those.
Hood pushing.
Hood. So I mean, Bitcoin moving.
Yeah, coin not looking too bad there. Clean spark on the pullback. So there's the miners are moving. I was looking at MSTR. I was thinking about trading that today, but it's just too expensive. So I would have to trade MSTX. MST scam, you know?
Yeah. Double leverage Ponzi scheme. There's certainly nothing that can go wrong being in a double leverage Ponzi scheme.
Nothing at all, my friend. Nothing at all.
I'm kind of with you. So Rando's saying smells like a bit of a range day. I'm kind of in the same camp as you right now, just because we've done such a move off the open. We had the gap, so we were up already, and then we had such a massive move off the open. That just makes me think, yeah. So that anything could happen. We're just speculating here, but that makes me think that it could be done for the day, right? That could have been all the juice that we. And if it does, right, that's a huge victory for the bulls. I'm looking at the Qs, the Nasdaq's up 1.82%, the SPY up 1.5%. If you're the bulls, you take that. You take that win to the bank, right? You say, okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if they turn it on right here and then just really push it away from us. That's really what I'm looking to see here. And I think it's like now or never, right? Like I don't think it's going to be where it pulls back and then gets turned on. I think it's more like they'll just keep it here at the highs. They'll keep it here at the highs. Now we want to see volume pickup. I want to see volume pickup on all charts, not one chart, literally all charts. Just see volume pickup. Let's see if we get it.
I'm with you. Like it's one of those, I've got nothing to do from the day trading side of things, but I've got my portfolio up there. So I hope it just, hey,
there
if the
goes
SPY's up
XLI.
10% today, I'm a happy boy.
XLI is going for that 134 10 move that I just talked about, like breaking the high tight move there. So I could go with Bank of America here also and just try to ride and scalp, right? But I'm going to stay with the one that I have, which is NNE. It's looking good for the 32 break. So now I'm going to go ahead and set a stop. I'll be like mentally stopping for $47 at least in the green, but looking for the move through the 32 here for the breakout. Let's see if we get it.
Yeah, SPY is just very shallow pullback, right? Came right to that low and then that bounced again. But we saw one topping tail in this area before, so I'm really interested on this candle to see if we end up getting another topping tail here as well. Yeah, I'm thinking more and more with Rando there that it could just be because it's moved so much, so fast that this could just be okay. Let's just chop around for the rest of the day. Let's frustrate everybody now. You know, we blew out the Bears entirely, right? They've lost their shirts. And now let's just grind her for a while and just see if we can frustrate all the day traders here. So it would make sense to go to some of these smaller, these NNEs and right, these more little guys who aren't going to be as concerned with the overall S&P 500. They can kind of move on their own accord. Coinbase coming down here. This GRRR was the only winner I had today. We got HIMS, Firm. Yeah, everything's just looking super strong here.
All right, looking to take a little rip into this and seeing if I could at least just take half off, get myself back to break even, leave the remainder on for the bigger move here. Let's see if I could get it, guys.
The daily chart on these do look amazing. I was a holder of SMR for the longest time. I ended up getting out as it kind of broke down here. They're very interesting, just ideas in general.
Just riding it right now, riding the momentum also on the 9 EMA. Every 9 EMA pullback on the recent run getting bought up there, and so that's what I'm riding now. The resistance on that was around 31.78, so that's the pullback level that I'd be kind of holding to, and so risking about 10 cents here from the potential gains, trying to let it go for the 32 breakout. Now, I don't think I'll get too much more than that 32. I think I'm getting about a buck away from that 31.20, which is about the flag pattern here. So even a break towards the 32s, maybe going to 32.20s, could be a nice little profit take.
Yeah, this MLGO, someone mentioning in chat, just grinding higher. Ugh. Anytime I zoom out, right, and I say this all the time because you're seeing them all the time, right? So this was a D-SPAC. Then it says it got to $12,000 a share, but it certainly didn't. That's something that had to do a bunch of reverse splits to get there. And then, yeah, nice little gap up today, and the gap up's continuing. So it's a nice little trade. I don't see any setup on it now. It's not certainly something I would hold for the long term. Just anytime I see, right, that's just immediate disqualifier for me. That means they couldn't figure out a way to stay listed on the NASDAQ a bunch of times, right? So they did a 1 for 10 split there and a 1 for 20 reverse split there. So yeah, but yeah, it's just a great mover. Again, these are the little things that when the market's like this and the market starts to get into this range bound mode, a lot of traders will go to, because if the market's hot, the good traders will go where liquidity is. And then once the market starts to die out, they go to where there isn't liquidity, right? They go to these more junkier type names, because these guys won't care what the market's doing. And MLGO doesn't care if the market's up or down on the day. There's some news event or Discord room or something that picked this up, and that's causing the thing to move, and that's why people are trading it. And then everything else is just kind of whatever, right? These are very momentum style type of plays.
All right, looking good. Right back towards the high of the day on NNE, just tapping high of the day, looking for that expansion above 32s. There's a little size here on the level 2, so let's show you guys this so that you guys can learn a little bit more of our action here. I'm going to show you guys it straight from the screen here on our platform. There's the break of it. Let me hurry up here. Make your move, Mitch. Let's go. Let's go. There's 32.10s here, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and sell 50 into that. So boom, just sold 50 into that, right? And so what I'm essentially doing is just getting myself back to a break-even close action, right? So at this point, I can just at least look for a bigger breakout here and look to get some gains, right? I'm not looking to have a crazy day because I was still in the red a little bit, but this just at least puts me right back, right? And so you guys can see the action there. Not much losing today, but just break even. A lot of action just trying to get the bigger move, finally getting the bigger move. Now I got to let it hold for the breakout, right? Let's see if we get this breakout above 32s. 31.80s will get me out on the rest. I'm looking for the big breakout here. Let's see, maybe it gets to 32.80s, some kind of bigger action as we broke through that buyer there and that sell there. Do you see this 4,000 shares there? There was a hanging out there right on that 32 break. And that's what we need to kind of get through.
On your level 2 there at 32.5. Yeah, another 4K.
Yeah,
sitting there.
Bigger traders, you guys, bigger traders. Now let's see if we can break through them and just continue to see bidding action here, and the tape kind of getting a little bit thicker there on the 32 pullback. So I want to see it break towards like 32.20s and then big action on 32 pullbacks trying to get filled.
So yeah, there's one thing, and I say all the time that there's no institution, no large person is going to show their hand like that. But the question I always get back for that, and I'll preempt that and help out the chat here, is, okay, so then why do we see those big bids? And often they're either large retail traders who don't know that they can go and hide their orders, or they're people trying to scare the stock. You'll see that quite a bit too, where I know a whole prop firm that was shut down because what they would do is they were all sitting in a room. They'd all get short some name like that, and then they would yell something like "pad the book," and they'd all put a whole bunch of fake offers on the book with all of their, like, each of these guys probably had $2-3 million worth of buying power, right? They were short a little bit, and then they just go and they would all put 10,000-20,000 share offers.
And it will scare us traders. It'll scare them.
it would scare. And this was before computer algorithms that would test those. But it was one of those things where it was just a game, and it was a game they would play. They would find something that was overextended. They would all punch in short, and they would just flood the book. So anyone who was looking said, "Oh, smokes! Now there's a whole bunch from the long side that are trying to sell their shares, and then let's sell before them." And again, it created this little game. But of course, that's called order spoofing, and it is highly illegal. So eventually, you
get snapped for it. Yeah, I think it's all about that it was a bigger group, because I'll be as honest as I can. I see spoofing all the time on the tape.
Oh, it is. It's so hard to
stop place there, guys, based on the XLI pullback there. So giving myself the chance that if it pulls back, I get 31 and I'm back in the green. Not big green, but surviving. Break out above 32s. We keep riding the party.
Yeah, but the order spoofing, again, it's a very hard thing to detect. So that's why it happens all of the time. There's really nothing they can do about it.
Yeah.
England, actually, with the London Stock Exchange, I'm an old man telling old man stories at this point, but they actually found a really interesting way to do it where you pay a very small amount of money per order, regardless of whether the order gets filled. And if the order gets filled, you get that money back. And it was like, sub pennies, but per share. So if you want to buy, and I think there was two things. One, it was you'd get the money back if the order got filled, and then two, you get the money back if you left the order out for a certain amount of time and it didn't get filled, and you could sell it. And then what that did is that shut down a lot of those games, because that would have caused those people that were doing that were playing that game, they would have had to get out or leave the order out there to not get dinged for hundreds of dollars every time they played this game. So yeah, it's an interesting way, but it's so insanely common. So again, the SPY is just flirting in this area. We have this trade drawn up. The reason I draw up these trades is because I'm not taking these yet myself, but I'm testing them. So it's one of those things where we have I'm just watching to see what would happen, right? Either we're going to break to new highs and then this trade would have stopped out, or we come back somewhere in this range and then it would have been like a possible 1 hour trade. But again, I'm kind of with what Rando said earlier, that we could be into this kind of chop slop mess for the rest of the day.
All right, guys, continuing to grind my trade up, but shout out to Autonautics there. He said that he made profits for the day and said, you guys have a great day. Head into work now. We'll be back tomorrow. You got a new sub out of me, and I hope everybody out there watching, of course, can do us a favor. Share it with other traders, right? That's what we want to do, is continue to grow here. One of the #1 ways that you guys can show your appreciation for what we do every single day, absolutely free, right here on YouTube, Facebook, X, even out on Rumble, guys. We out on everything, guys. And the key there is I want you guys to share the stream with others. It can be the platform that you're on. You don't need to share a YouTube link specifically. Just share it with others so that we can get some other traders and continue battling here on the journey that is trading, right? It's not a one-day gig. It's one thing that you got to come in every single day and be a professional. We'll be doing the same thing right here. Hope you guys continue pushing forward. Looking to see if we can continue seeing grinds up. JPM still on the top end of the range. XLI recovered. XLF hanging on the 50 and holding very well. Small pullbacks tell me that buy program could still be on here. And look at the SPY right back on the top end of the range. So looking good there. Check MLGO for big moves there. A lot of people talking about that one, holding well. But my thing with that one is the up moves are small and holding the 90 MA. That's scary for me. So when small caps, I want big moves on the up moves. That small moves on the down, that leaves room for a big cut down there. Now getting a move here in NNE, looking good there, guys. Nice looking recovery there, NNE. Now we're looking good, guys. I'm starting to cook here. Not a bad little move there as it starts to go higher now to 3220s and looking like it wants to continue. So just grinding the grind higher. One thing I said down here, guys, wanted to see the trend of the higher lows continue. And we're getting that action where we're getting that nice little pull right on that, right? So let's see if we can continue grinding here. Now 3220s and I'm just going to secure some more win. Right now, I'm going to 32 and watching this, trying to continue to grind higher and just making more of that cash. Right now, for sure, going to be in the green for the day and doing my job as a trader. Right, that's the important thing, guys. Let's keep going. Let's see what else is moving out there in the markets. Kicking it to you, Michael.
Yeah, just grinding higher, right? Just new highs here on the SPY. So that idea would not have worked, at least that time, right? That's not enough to make a decision on the trade, but yeah, just continuing to grind higher. We rested for a long period of time, had a nice little breakout, seeing a little bit of increased kind of volume and action on this breakout. So the market continues, right? It's not one of those, we're not resting here, right? We're pushing. So I want to just go and start looking around a bit, right? The Qs doing the same thing, which is great. You want to see broad participation in these moves. We have the IWM, which is also breaking out, and right, we can't say that too often. Usually the IWM is a bit of a dog there and not able to move with the overall market. So that's moving, which is great. So a lot of these names are looking really, really strong. And definitely looking like we're going to break out and push higher. So this, to me, again, it feels very, very buy program. Also feels very short covering. Like, look at how much deep green we're seeing here, right? Amazon up 3%, Meta up 3.5%, Nvidia up 3%, Tesla now up 10%. Holy smokes, Tesla! Yeah,
Long
just
Bank of
ripping.
America, back in it, guys, back in it.
Yeah, everything is moving here. Good. You know, I'm just kind of, I feel like I should sitting back like this because I got no day trades to make, but the my swing trades, my long-term portfolio is doing very, very well. I actually even put out a tweet on the weekend that I bought a bit of that Fart coin just because the setup looked so good. So yeah, everything's looking good. We could just be back at it, right? So again, where I'm watching on the SPY, and I honestly did not think that this would come into play today, but it looks like it might. We talked about for people who are joining, just because there's more of us, is 575.50 here on the S&P 500. The reason for that is it's this prior low that happened right here, and it is the anchored VWAP from all-time high. So what the average price of the average market participant would be if you started to buy the market at the worst time. That's 575.50. Now, that's still a pretty big move today. So we are already up pretty substantially on the SPY. And if we continue there, that's another 0.5%, right? So that would be a wicked, wicked SPY move. Just from the overall market, we are already up 1.6%. So that put us up over 2% on the SPY, and then probably nearly 3% on the Qs to get there, which can happen, right? Anything can happen, but a nice little push there as well. So QBTS, I see mentioned in the chat there.
Small win there on QBTS. All right, not a bad one to take a look at. How are those quantum names doing today? I didn't really even look at those today.
Not great. RGTI, what's the other one? QUBT.
Ion Q's not doing too bad, at least if you look at the leader, right? Trade leaders now, I think, in this type of move.
Yeah.
At least that's what I'd be watching. Ion Q bounce back towards the 26.
Yeah, see, this is the kind of action that's interesting. When it comes to the rest of these, like the QBTS, right? Everything you have to do, in my opinion, you have to compare to the overall market, right? So the market is just ripping today. So if you own a stock that isn't ripping today, I think that's one of those times where you go, okay, now let me take a hard look at my stock and see. Because like we mentioned, right, Tesla, that's just been destroyed recently, is up 10% today. We have Nvidia moving. We have, Meta was looking great. Everything's looking fantastic, right? Everything's pushing higher. So if, again, I'm in a stock and that stock's not pushing higher, well, then I'm worried. And that's something that I actually do a lot of when it comes to just looking at my trades and looking at my portfolio at the end of the day. If the market has been ripping and I own something and that thing just hasn't moved, or even worse, is down on the day, that's something that I really have to, I just got to scratch my head and say, am I in this thing for the right reasons? Is it something that makes sense for me to be putting my capital and my time into, or have I just bought a dog that's not participating? And again, what's a wicked rip for the market?
Interesting play right now off of the XLE. XLE is near the high on 93.08, but I'm looking at MPC on the 15-minute pullback after making an opening drive of 153.45. So that's the setup, right? The ETF showing the strength in the overall kind of sector. And then I'm looking at MPC as coming back to the 15-minute of Friday's action, which was the high around 150. Went to 150.14, so maybe it needs to actually hit that 150 to really kind of get that resistance, kind of new support. But it's one that I'll be watching to see if it can do a recovery back to 153 today, especially with the XLE staying strong. So.
Yeah, and right, it's funny, we're talking about XLE doing well, and we're talking XLI doing well, right? We're talking XLF was doing fantastic. So this is just one of those that if you see your local perma bear out today saying, oh, well, this was driven by tech or Tesla, or it's only 7 stocks, or whatever excuse they're going to come up with, just know that it's not true, right? The whole it's only 7 stock thing just killed me, because you can count. You can prove that's wrong. But XLF's doing great. Again, FXI, we talked about this a lot, right? These are why you kind of ignore these from day to day. You zoom out because there's been no movement here. I actually was buying a lot of Japanese stuff today, so we could talk a little bit about that. EWJV is the Japanese value ETF, and that's just phenomenal here, breaking out to new all-time highs. And just some of those names, I think IX was one that I picked up today. Yeah, some of these names are looking great, just these Japanese banks. So, hey, if you like financials and you like the international game, because that's been doing so well recently, here's international Japanese. So there you go. You get both those international, or you get Japanese bank. So you get both financials, and you get your international exposure as well. I've just been doing that because you look at something like the EM, which is your emerging markets ETF. That's been doing fantastic even when the market's been selling off. There's been a lot of talk about that, right? The sell-off has been kind of localized to just the US market, and we haven't really seen that so much in larger markets like the UK and all these different names. It's been pretty much just looking at the US market. That's the one that's been the heaviest focus there when it came to the drawdown. So EWU, I think it is, for the United Kingdom. Right, you can look at a lot of these names and they look great. You travel around the world, most of the world's doing fine here, and then again the US, because the trade war and all that kind of stuff's been having a hard time. So probably not interesting to anyone here, but I've bought some Japanese value stocks to add to my portfolio. Just kind of balancing things out.
All right, looking at SMR on the pullback here. NNE still held pretty well there at the top there. So I was watching NNE to see if it would make another breakout to the upside. It's kind of pulled back to this 32 spot. So it's a big key spot, but it could do the 15-minute pullback to the 31.60. So I'm all out of this one. It could be out of Bank of America here at the 42.92. That would put me back to break even. So it's just been like one of those days where we haven't really gotten the lift off. We've gotten certain type of move. SPY still kind of stair stepping its way up higher, which is a good thing to see, because like I mentioned, I wanted to see the SPY kind of lead a little bit more than the Qs. And I feel like it's been doing it, but it's been pretty much the same move all day long. We'll look to see if that changes up in the afternoon.
So this is the only thing that I'm going to watch is on both of these. Right, you don't need to get too fancy with it sometimes, right? We've got a pretty wicked trend on both of these markets. I'll set an alert for when we're wrapping up here, and just say, hey, let me know when these trends break. Again, no more day trades today. It wasn't a good day for that. I had 3 shorts, and I lost on 2 of them, and made a little bit on 1. So I'll actually take that, considering what the market did. Clear out the list, load up the list for tomorrow, and get right back at her.
All right, so they're starting to see a little bit of a pullback out of Bank of America. It's still in the green today, but just a buck 75, right? So pretty much spent the 25 that I had in the green there to take that Bank of America trade, and it just didn't get back above the 43s. Back above the 43s, I think you get the 43.20s. The XLF pulling back a little bit there and seeing a little bit of slowdown here. So it's just kind of more, do you want to continue battling the markets, or just seeing a little bit of the slowdown kind of affect the markets here? And I definitely see that a little bit slow down. There is some plays that are holding still towards the top end of the range, so continue to watch that. Ion Q being one of those names that we just heard a mention of, the QBTS. So I'd be watching Ion Q, but that needs to hold compared to some other ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's, we talk about this all the time, but conserve your mental capital. Like, it's one of those, for me, and I, kind of proud that I did this today, is I took my 3 trades and didn't really get much of it, and I don't have any temptation to go back to the well right now, because again, this is why we talk about swing trading and day trading, and not looking at it one versus the other, but an attempt to do both, because I'm not bummed at all about the loss I took from the day trading side of things, because looking at my long-term brokerage account, it's doing phenomenally. So that's the beauty, again, of multiple systems, multiple time frames. It's why we have access to both of those at Trade the Pool. We've got day trading accounts, and then there's big revamp coming, I know, really soon, according to the Fearless Leader, to the swing trading accounts. For me, I'm very excited to try both and to have both. I'll move some of my algorithms that currently are making me money from the swing trading side of things over. Because then on days like today, you kind of go, okay, well, maybe I don't even need a day trade. The market's gapping up and ripping. Okay, well, that's good. I'll just, maybe sell some, take some profits from the swing trading side of things, and, unload a little bit there and lock in those profits and be happy for that.
Oof. Big gap fill today on a smaller name. It was a mid cap, but TNXP, big move there.
TNXP, that one came up on my pre-market scanner. Yeah,
Crazy
big
move there.
gap. Oh yeah, came right to fill that gap right there, and now
Yeah,
it just paid.
XLF. The sectors continue with the battle, man.
Yeah, everything's looking strong, right?
They just keep hanging on there, guys. They keep hanging on, guys. I'm wrapping up, guys. We'll continue to battle like always, guys. There you guys see it for me, guys. Nice $1.75 day, but battling. I would say this morning should have maybe nailed that smaller name, the UCAR. That was one of those where I just had to walk away. It's going to happen sometimes when you walk away. And the only reason I didn't take profits because I wasn't at the desk. But that can happen, guys. So we'll see what happens there. SMR still holding on. I still like these nuclear names for swing alerts because I think that by the time you kind of really look at these, it's going to be a big bar type of day. And then it's kind of hard. You have to wait for the pullbacks. You got to be patient. We'll see what happens on those names. But that's going to do it for us here, guys. Smash the like, of course, like always. Keep battling. Keep up with Michael Noss on Twitter. Keep up with me. You guys see the handle right below. Like always, we'll keep pushing with you guys right here and be back tomorrow. Let's keep going. Of course, my man Steve will be back, and we'll keep seeing if this market rally can hold. It seems like the rally's real right now. Now it's more, show me the legs. Show me the legs.
Don't jinx us, Mitch. Come on now. I just told you I'm long a bunch of stuff. If we sell off now, when I come back tomorrow, you're gonna have a piece of my mind.
This guy. See you guys later.